Apparently I'm on. Let's see if anyone comes on. Difficult unit. Oh, that's my doggy. All right. I should change the pictures here. I'm wearing one contact lens, guys. So if I go cross-eyed, that's part of the reason. Okay. Nobody's on yet anyway. All right. My baby girl's with me. You can see her behind me. I'm in my parents' house right now. Guess what happened? I'll wait till someone comes on. It says zero viewers. Testing. Testing. Okay. If there's problems with the sound, let me know. Am I on yet? No viewers? I usually have at least one by now. I have zero viewers. This is a world time record. I've been on for 1 minute and I have zero viewers. I always have at least one viewer. One of you is always available. Zero viewers. Well, all right, I'll wait 2 minutes. But this is embarrassing. If I can't even get a viewer after 1 minute, that's really bad. I mean, I'm not a popular channel, but let's give it a few more minutes. As long as I have one viewer, it's a show. But zero viewers, I'm very, oh, no, still, I have zero viewers, you guys? Really? Zero? This is broadcast publicly live to any place in the world that allows internet. And I have zero viewers? Come on. On Twitch and you. Yay! Wait a minute. Why does it say I have zero viewers? Apparently someone's watching. Hi, Kelly. That's weird. It says zero viewers. Why is that? I don't know. Oh, there. Now it says one viewer. Maybe there's a delay. Okay. Hi, Kelly. The show's starting. So I am. First of all, I bought my mother a cell phone. She doesn't know how to use it, but she and my father went for a walk around the neighborhood. So I have the Google share. They know that I'm tracking them because in case, you never know, something happens. He doesn't even know how to call me from that cell phone because he doesn't understand a phone that doesn't have buttons on it. He has an old cell phone that actually has buttons that you press, but they don't understand the new cell phone that's a screen buttons. They don't understand that. So I'll teach my father. My mother's going to forget. So where are they right now? Okay, they're fine. They're nearby. Because one time they went for a walk and they did not take the phone, and I was worried, and it was taking a long time. It was taking, they usually take a certain amount of time. And I said, something's wrong, but what do? I didn't know where they were. I knew they were around, and I was getting ready, to go out in the car and just drive around because I knew they'd have to be somewhere in the neighborhood. Um, but as soon as I got outside, I just kind of looked down. My father was coming running as fast as his 80-something-year-old legs could carry him, of course, but he was trying to run home without my mother. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? I was terrified. Well, it turns out my mother had just gotten very tired and she couldn't walk anymore. So they found a place for her to sit while he ran home and got the car. So luckily, nothing bad happened. But, you know, I don't want him running. And it was across a busy street on top of that. So anyway, so I told him, look, even if it's just to walk around the neighborhood, take the phone, because if you take too long, I'll just look on the phone, I'll see where you are, and I'll come get you. So yeah, he got the car, he went back, picked her up, everything was fine. But so anyway, yeah, that's weird. It says zero viewers again, but I don't know why. Anyway, um, so that's one thing. So they're out, and I've got my little baby girl here. Let me move this. What I had to do, I had to come into my parents' house during the day because it's still very hot. I'm in Florida, and it's still very hot, and the air conditioning doesn't work back there now. The garage where I live. So I don't know if maybe the fuse busted and I have to just change the fuse. That's an easy fix, but I tried to go out there and pull out the fuse and I can't work it. And I don't want to tell my father. I can figure it out. I've done it before, actually. In the past, I fixed it. It was just the fuse blew there's this little contraption on the back of the garage that attaches to the inside air conditioner. So I'll figure it out at some point. But I was trying to pull on the fuse thing that says pull here, and it was not coming out, and I don't want to force it. So anyway, so it's too hot. At night it's fine now. At night the temperature's comfortable, and I open the door and let some fresh air in. But during the day it's too hot, and I can't hang out back there, so it's just too hot. So now I'm in my parents' house, which is very comfortable, and I still like to sleep in private, but during the day I'm hanging out here, which is nice. It's not a bad idea just in case, right? I wish he would learn how to use it and actually call me and use the internet and all that, but at least now here I'm concerned because it says 2 minutes ago they were at a certain place, and that means right now they're somewhere else. At least I knew where they last. Oh, just now. Okay, there they are. They're walking kind of slow. They're not much more than they were 2 minutes ago. But anyway, that's fine. It's good. It's keeping track of them because I had forgotten if I turned on the data, but I did. So, all right. Anyway, so next Sunday, I've been in touch back and forth with Ryan. We've been talking. I sent him he might be at work because he works at Starbucks over there in Ireland. Some of you may know Ryan. He's one of the viewers, that comes on. And so I'm going to interview him next Sunday, I think. I have to reconfirm it just to be positive, And it's going to be a friendly interview, I want it to be non-controversial, but the topic is about transgenderism, which is a topic I think we're going to need to come to some terms with in the United States. I think in other countries there's different views on it and this and that and the other, but they are a part of our society now. And he's not transgender, by the way, but he's has mentioned on lives before. I'm not, outing anyone. That he, I believe at one point thought he may be transgender and whatever. In his case, I don't know. He'll tell us himself. I don't know if he is or he isn't. I think he's not. But anyway, even so, there's still some information there that is good for all of us to know. We have transgender people in our society, whether we agree with it or don't agree with it. And we're going to have to come to terms with living together and agreeing to disagree on things that we don't agree on, but United States has got to try to come to the middle. The Democrats have to come more towards the middle, and the Republicans, I feel, are more towards the middle, of course. But I'm not a Republican, but I lean right. So I feel that the Republicans are in the middle, but others would disagree with me. So I feel there is a faction of the Republicans that are way right. Yes, they do exist. But I think the majority are more towards the middle. And the Democrats, I believe the majority are more towards the middle as well, but they're afraid to talk because as soon as you say something, you get canceled. So those moderate Democrats have to start speaking up. And, we've got to come. But anyway, so he's in Ireland. So on the one hand, the pressure's off because he's in Ireland. So his opinions, while they're valid, of course, as an American, he might get canceled or harassed or something, depending on what he says from both sides. Because anyway, my point is it could be a very interesting interview, and we'll get some maybe interesting information. So that's basically it. And think of some questions. And I'll say it again when we actually do it. I want to stay away from questions about child transgenderism in children. I want to stay away from that topic, not because it's not an issue, because it is as well, apparently. But there's a lot out there on YouTube already, and I'm happy to give you some channels about people who speak about children who are transgender and what they feel. There's the whole question about puberty blockers, where and again, I understand both sides, because if a child that's the point, he has to truly be transgender. And what if it turns out he's not, and he's confused, and his mother or parents fell too much into the narrative now that, I don't know, and they're starting them on these puberty blockers, which again, in the case of a child who truly is transgender, that could be helpful, especially a young a trans boy. See, I get confused, which means born a girl, but realizes, no, the other way around. A young I get so confused. Please forgive me. I think of this. Imagine myself. I was born in this. No, I was born in the body of a boy because I am a woman and I feel like a woman. So let's say I had been born in the body of a boy, feeling exactly how I am inside. That's my thing. And that's great. When you're little, it doesn't matter because you don't have any external features. I mean, I could put a bow in my hair. Let's say if I was born in the body of a boy, put a bow in my hair, wear a dress, and children all look young. So, you can't tell if it's a boy or girl usually because there are no external features other than, what's downstairs, which you don't see. So but when you start entering puberty, I mean, I imagine myself when I was a teenager and I was already insecure about myself, and I was in the same body that I thought I was supposed to be in, but I had my pimples and I was a little overweight, and so I already know how insecure and how depressed I would get as a teenager in my own body. Imagine on top of that if I started growing beard and started getting a deep voice and an Adam's apple. I mean, and feeling like a woman. I can imagine it. It's devastating. I can imagine myself being in that situation. That's how you have to think. So obviously, in that case, yes, puberty blocker it saves your child from undergoing even more trauma if your child truly is transgender. So this is why I don't want to discuss it with on that interview because you get into a lot of things that maybe we really need to not be talking about children. But um but by the same token, imagine what's turning out is happening that they say, oh, it's reversible. No, it's not. It's turning out where some people are starting to speak out that the puberty blockers and the hormones, I think puberty blockers, I don't know, I think that's different. Puberty blockers block puberty, but I don't know enough, so I'm not going to talk. But apparently, the hormones are not reversible. Young ladies who thought they were men and transitioned to men, and then realized they were mistaken, they were just confused. They want to go back, but their voice stays deep. It stays a man's voice, and it's very. You know what? What I haven't heard anyone say this, but I'm thinking those young ladies who transitioned to becoming a man then realized they were mistaken, they were a little confused, and they want to go back to being a woman. Okay, they stop taking the hormones and they get back the female features. Now, unfortunately, if they've operated on themselves, it's kind of too late for that. But let's pretend they haven't done that. They still have their parts, hopefully. Uh, but their voice stays very deep. And what I've noticed, I watch a young lady who on YouTube. See, I've been watching a lot of YouTubers. I don't know any in real life, but there are people who really speak openly about their situation. And she never said this, but I'm thinking to myself, if I didn't know, because she hasn't explained that she's a woman who transitioned to male and decided to go back, if I didn't know, I would just think she's a gay man that dresses like a woman or a transvestite or something. She is now, although she is a woman in the body of a woman, feels like a woman, she now appears as a transsexual man because of her voice. And I can imagine her getting beaten up by people who are ignorant and hate people who aren't you know cisgender, in the body, people who are transphobic. I can imagine her now getting beaten up because they mistakenly think that she's a trans woman because so it's my point is this hormones, and that's not just the only thing. The voice, the I think it may be worse, and please correct me. I'll read the chat in a minute if I'm wrong. Young ladies, I think it's even worse for young ladies who start transitioning to become male. They start developing early osteoporosis in their bone. It's like an old lady loses because young women need to eat a lot of calcium because we are at risk of as we age, osteoporosis, where our bones become brittle. So some of the young ladies who have been taking male hormones, something about the estrogen that makes your bones stronger, that they don't develop the strength in their bone. I mean, a lot of really serious problems. Anyway, those are out there on YouTube. I can give you the names of. Well, I'll give you some names now if you're interested in finding out more about the things that supposedly are not being told in the larger scale about transitioning. Uh, Mark Dibb, Marcus Dibb is a trans man. He's was born a woman, but is a man now. There's another one. Buck Angel is actually someone, and these are real transgender people speaking. I say real, not that I'm trying to belittle anyone's experience, but when I say real, I still believe it is a small, very number of people who happen to be born as they're born. God doesn't make mistakes. You're born but then would someone say, well, if God doesn't make mistakes, then they need to stay in the body they were born in, which it's an argument too, but whatever. You're born how you're born. I'm not going to judge someone but sometimes traumas can cause you to get confused about being sexually assaulted or abused at a young age has been shown to confuse it. It's not going to change who you are deep down, truly, but it can confuse you, you know, uh, if depending on your traumas, where you think you're what you're not. But then there are people who are just born how they're born, and there's just no rhyme or reason or explanation. That's just genetics or whatever. They're just who they are. And so those people, yes, are real. And even when I was young, we had some famous people. There was a tennis player, a very famous tennis player, Arthur Ashe, who died of AIDS. Was he trans or did he die of it? I get confused now. Arthur Ashe, was he? No, it was another person. Renee Richards was the tennis player that became a woman. Uh, Hang on a second. Arthur Ashe was a tennis player who died of AIDS, but I don't think he was transgender. I think he was gay. American tennis player. Arthur Ashe is an American professional tennis. He won 3 Grand Slam titles. Black man, by the way. Not that it matters, but now we are getting more and more Black people in tennis, but it was not common until then. Venus Williams. Now we have Coco Gauff, we have Sloane Stevens. I think there's another one on the horizon. But when I was young, you never saw Black people playing tennis, and now they're killing it. Not, I love Coco Gauff. She's gotten a little bit rough, though. She used to, when she was younger. She's only 19 now, and she just won something important. I don't follow this latest one, but the Arthur Ashe, the only Black man to win singles titles. Yeah, I know he was not transgender. He was gay, I believe, though. I have trouble reading because I'm only wearing one contact lens. And here I go off on my tangents, but now I just want to get it right because I don't want to misinform. Anything I say, always remember, check. I could be mistaken. Anything I say, don't ever take what anyone says at face value. Always check, whatever what it. Let me see. Was Arthur Ashe gay? I know he died of AIDS because there's the Arthur Ashe Center, which is for AIDS. Was Arthur and Renee Richards, I think, was the one who was transgender after playing tennis. Was Arthur Ashe gay? I don't like reading. I just want the answer. Rh negative blood was believed he had contracted the virus from blood transfusions he received during his second heart surgery. Okay. He and his wife decided to keep his illness private. Okay, so he was married, so he wasn't gay either. Really? He was just a regular guy? Come on, it's boring. Let me see. Arthur Ashe. No, apparently he got it from a blood transfusion. He won in 1968. First Black man to win a Grand Slam singles title. He would go on to quotes, death, facts, biography. No, I guess he wasn't gay either. He got AIDS from a transfusion. So I'm confusing tennis players. But let me just make sure because I was almost sure he was gay. But who knows? Maybe I got you see why you have to check? Because maybe I just assumed he was gay because he died of AIDS. And some people who died of AIDS weren't gay. Many people weren't gay. So Arthur Ashe, 2 sons. Wait a minute. Arthur, no, that was Arthur. Hardship and opportunity. Arthur's childhood. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know all this stuff. Under his mother's direction, Ashe was reading by the age of 4 because his mother encouraged him to be studious, and his turn was upside down 2 years later when his mother passed away. Aw, aw. Arthur's father, fearful of seeing his boys fall into trouble without their mother's discipline, began running a tighter ship at home. Ash and his younger brother went to church every Sunday, and after school, they were required to come straight home. Yeah, the fear in the 60s and even worse today, but in the 60s, families were still intact. That it makes a difference. My father kept me home out of trouble. I had exactly 12 minutes. Yeah, his father ran a tight ship, but I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You get scared. And after his mother's death, Ash discovered the game of tennis, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, apparently he wasn't gay. He just, okay, but that was not the one I was actually talking about. I was talking about Renee Richards. I confused tennis player. Renee Richards was also a tennis player who she did a Jenner. What was Caitlyn Jenner? He pulled a Caitlyn Jenner on us. Renee Richards is an American ophthalmologist. Is or was he's still alive? She is an American ophthalmologist and former tennis player who competed. I'm getting this from Wikipedia. I'm going to look in Sports Illustrated. Oh, here I can share my screen. I forgot. Am I still on the? I think I'm going to pay for this Yard stream. I'm going to pay. It's $20 a month. I'm going to pay for the year, but not right now. I'm kind of broke, but I'll pay by month. Let me share the screen so we can see pictures of her. 1 second. She's at, oh God, I get all these ads popping up. 1 second. Let me check the chat in a minute. Hang on. I'll close some screens here. It's a Sports Illustrated article from, why is this happening? Cancel. Am I still on? I'm still on. Okay, I thought I accidentally cut you guys off. I've done that before. Arthur Ashe was, oh, he was gay? Because, yeah, I didn't read through the whole thing. But it says he was married. So, okay, it doesn't matter. Sometimes men are married and then, they've just been hiding it. Okay, in any case, I meant to say Renee Richards is the one I confused. Long before Caitlyn Jenner, Renee Richards raised questions of gender identity by suing to play at the 1977 U.S. Open after undergoing sex reassignment surgery. As for the intersection of sports and men and women today, she'd rather talk about anything else. She doesn't want to talk about it. So I wonder if she ended up playing in the women's. I'll share a screen. What happened? Something popped up and blocked everything. I'm so sick of these darn ads. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sometimes you got to sign up so they don't. Here's a picture of her playing tennis. Oh, let me check on my parents. Wait. Ah! And too many wires. All right. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, let me see here. Checking. My parents are walking and they have the GPS on. Okay, there they are. 2 minutes ago, just now. Okay, there we go. Ooh, they've gone far. All right, they are about 2-3 blocks away. So they're going to be walking in the door. I don't really want them to walk in on the camera, but I'll block when they're arriving. I'm going to just block. Yeah, they're on my date. Almost doesn't matter, you guys. Yeah, they're 2 blocks away. So okay, they're fine. Not that they're. Maybe I'll just mute the mic and you'll see them on the camera. I mean, they're nicely dressed because they just went for a walk. So I mean, nicely dressed, regular clothes. But anyway, it's not facing the door. They'll be coming in that way. That door. Oh, you'll see them come in. They'll be coming in that door. Renee Richards, back to Arthur Ashe was not gay. Oh, was not gay. Okay. I thought it was a typo. You meant to say he was not gay. I thought he was because he got AIDS. Exactly. Same with me. And there was a rumor at this time that he was gay. Exactly. Because when AIDS first came out, some of you who are younger, we thought everybody who had it was gay because it started becoming more. It started out that mainly gay men would get it. Everyone could get it, but it started becoming more a, considered a gay disease because not because gay men have anything different than anyone else, but because they're very sexually promiscuous. Imagine young men. What's going to stop them? It has nothing to do with them as people. It just, and of course, the very extreme Christians said it's God punishing them for their life, for their lifestyle. No, they needed to use condoms. That's what prevented AIDS. But some of them, I recall, I knew one gay person at the time. Well, one openly gay. It turns out I went to school with some gay people that I now learned were gay. There was one, two, four, four, four in a Catholic school. Imagine. But uh, but at the time, I only knew one gay adult who I met through a theater teacher, one of my theater teachers. That's what I mean. We went to Catholic school, but at least my Catholic school was quite, I don't want to say open to homosexuality. It wasn't discussed, but there was a theater teacher, a lady who was quite masculine. She actually had kind of a beard. I don't know if what her issue was. Maybe she had hormonal imbalances, whatever. But theater teacher, of course. And she invited a fellow theater friend one time to help us out with some. I was in the theater club, so I would take. Get parts in plays and stuff. And we became whatever. We got to know him a couple of times, and she openly told us he's coming. She told us he was bisexual. I think, I mean, I would have just said gay. And maybe at the time, again, it was, maybe people would say they were bisexual so that people would think, oh, well, they're more normal in quotes. I mean, I hate to age myself, but in spite of gayness having been more accepted, after the 60s, I was in high school in the 80s. So by then, of course, gay was not but like, I remember the first gay march that they did in Washington was like, oh, people's eyes were popping out of their head. I can't believe, it was a shock. And now it's a gay march. Like, if you're, it's like, like at best people like, oh no, like there they go. Let's assume if you really don't like, the gay lifestyle or whatever. But, and at the time, I was like, yeah, go, because I always take the opposite side. If it's popular to be against something, then I'm all for it, well, within reason, of course. I mean, not something really bad, but but now it's accepted, and but I think we all need to stop. Extremely religious people, of course, should not be pushing their beliefs on everyone, and maybe gay and transgender to some extent either. But anyway, I don't want to get controversial. I can say all that stuff outside. I'm on the fence about it. I'm on the fence about transgender. I know it exists. I agree that if you're born and as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you want to dress how you want to dress, I still say you should do what you want as long as you're not hurting anyone. But but maybe we need to leave kids out of everything. We need to leave kids out of that. And well, see, there you go. But then you send kids to a religious school. You send children to Catholic school, for example. And yes, at a Catholic school, they do impose the beliefs on you to some extent because that's why you send them to that school. So, but yeah, we also had to learn. And that's getting back to my point. So, in spite of me going to Catholic school, that's why I say maybe my Catholic school was different than others because I hear all these horrible things about Catholics. And I said, my experience with the Catholic religion has been wonderful. And yeah, we were told, I was never told to hate gays, though. I was told, well, that lifestyle is not what Jesus wants or whatever. but basically the message to us was, let's pray for the gay people and hope that they see the light, but it was never an anger or hatred towards them. It was always, I understand, I don't agree with it, but the way we were taught, you should always pray and be kind to them and accept them into the church to hope that they can see the right way, you know. But what I hear about Catholics today, that, oh, they're so horrible, they impose hatred, and I don't know, that wasn't my experience. But I can't speak for every Catholic school, because obviously I was we were about 800 students there. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it was no secret that the theater teacher was inviting her bisexual friend to hang out and read lines with us. I mean, we didn't talk about gayness, but he happened to be gay and or bisexual, and it wasn't advertised, but it was also no secret. He just came, and I think the teacher did mention, oh, well, he's bisexual, because one of her students made a joke about him because apparently he'd met him. And so the teacher said, yeah, well, just so you all know, my friend John, I don't even remember his name. He is gay, or he's bisexual, she said. And, we are all like, whatever, if anyone was against it, no one said anything. And I kind of didn't care one way or the other. He was just coming to read lines. So, uh, anyway, my point, getting back to the AIDS and arthritis, it's all related. I'll read that in a minute. Oh, now that being gay has become acceptable, I'm amazed by the percentage of people who identify as gay. When I was growing up, there were few people. Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. Oh, hi, Kay. Oh, I'm missing all these. That means there were a lot of gay people when I was younger. Yeah, I think people were in the closet, they call it, because it wasn't so acceptable. It was in the closet. And even Bill Clinton, when he was in office, his message about gayness was, don't ask, don't tell. We know they exist. Nobody has to ask, nobody has to tell. You just, so yeah, indirectly, he was saying, stay in the closet, indirectly. And that was for the military, I think, more so than anything else. If you're a gay in the military, it was a big, like, oh my gosh, gays in the military was so horrible. And his message to the gays in the military was, if you're gay and you're in the military, don't, the people who aren't gay, don't ask him. And if you are gay and in the military, don't tell anyone. And it should be a non-issue. So yeah, maybe in the military that maybe makes sense, because the only reason you're going to the military because you love your country and you want to be there for your country, or you need the money. Granted, a lot of times you need money for college, so you'll do the ROTC, and they'll pay for your college, but then you're committed to working for which is great if we're not at war. But you know, these days, who knows? We're on the verge of, there's anyway. But no, the military at one time, even illegals could get their citizenship quickly by joining the military. You came here illegally, did service for a couple of years, went to Vietnam even, I think. Um, it was a quick way to get your citizenship. But they don't do that anymore. But at the time, back then they did. And that way they wouldn't have to draft people. They would get volunteers. But I don't know. That's a whole other issue. A lot of things happened when I was younger that now people would be appalled. But I'll get to Arthur Ashe in a minute. I mean, Renee Richards is what we're talking about now. Okay. Where my parents are about to walk in any minute. Uh, yeah, where are they? Wow, they're taking a long time. That was 5 minutes ago, which means they should be here because it says 5 minutes ago. Hang on. Let me just quick look out the window. Oh, there they are. They're coming. Let me stop. Don't get mad at mommy. Look how mean she is. They're all right. Hang on. I'm just gonna block the hang on. Hang on. I'm back. Okay, yeah, they're home. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, you guys. See, I lost all my viewers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cannot be tranquila when I have to be in their house because I have no air conditioning in the back. I cannot be, don't live with your parents when you're in your 50s. Get a job, get a career, and move away. Don't be forced to live, you know. Ah, I'm such a useless person. All right. Anyway, it's hard. What was I talking about? See, I lost my train of thought. My dog started attacking me. You saw that my dog was attacking me. So I put her in her cage now. She's in timeout. I think she'll stop. Are you gonna attack mommy? She's being mean to me. Why are you being mean to me? What? No, you're staying there if you're gonna growl at me like that. She bit me really hard one time. I have a pen for her, like a play pen. It's a doggy play pen. It's a like a cage, but there's no top. It's like a play pen. It's nice and big. So when she starts attacking me, I put her in there. But see, it's like out of the blue. She's very sensitive to changes. Oh, my parents are coming. And she sensed that, and suddenly she got angry. So, and in the meantime, I lost viewers because I didn't want my parents on. Ah, anyway, what was I talking about, you guys? I don't even remember. Okay, let me see. There were a lot. Oh yeah, they were in the closet. Is what I call it. I was talking about Bill Clinton, and that was his message to being in the military. Anyway, um, I have one viewer now. I maybe I have more. I don't know. Anyway, oh hi Desi, hi Desi, Kay Desi. All right, whoever's there, post a quick comment. I only show one viewer. Not that it matters. As long as there's one, that's enough. But I don't know if the people got bored. Renee Richards. I was going to share my screen. Hang on. What I should have done was share my screen. Share screen. There we go. Is she on there now? Share screen. Share screen. I should have done that because it was black and then you guys couldn't see that I was still here. All right, that's her, but that she used to be a man. See, look, she is actually quite beautiful. She looks like a very fit woman. Her face, you can tell, was kind of. Let me see if I can make it bigger somehow. Can I make that bigger? I don't think so. Oh, yes, I can. Look. Oh no, I can't. Okay. Oh, all right. Let's read this. Okay, so it says Sports Illustrated. Where are they now? Issue catches up with stars and prominent figures from sports yesteryear. Okay, this is. So I guess she's still alive. It was the equivalent of a serve that came back with more spin. Wait a minute, where's the and more heat than the sender ever expected in February? Martina Navratilova wrote an op-ed in London's Sunday Times discussing the hot button issue of transgender athletes. Her point, she thought, was hardly tendentious. Tendentious? Yeah, I gotta look that up. What the heck is that? Does anyone know? Put in the chat if you know what that means. I'm gonna look it up. Tendentious. Tendentious. Expressing or intending to promote a particular cause or point of view, especially a controversial one. Expressing or intending to promote a particular tendentious. Okay. All right. Her point, she thought, was hardly tendentious. Yeah. Arguing that male athletes who transition to become female athletes but decline to undergo gender reassignment surgery should not be allowed to complete. Yeah. And I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Because they have had the benefit of the male hormones for however many years. And plus, they're not, and even the reassignment surgery, because you could still stop taking the female hormones and get the testosterone back, even if you've had the surgery. So, kind of, I guess her point is the surgery is proving that it's really true. You're not just doing it to get, you know. So I agree with that part of the of transgenderism. I don't believe that there have got to be certain requirements, at least, if you're going to allow trans women to play in women's sports, unless it's a sport that doesn't necessarily take strength. Maybe, well, and even some would say any sport takes strength. But for example, horseback riding. Well, do they even actually do they even do that? Because horseback riding is, I think they all compete because it's equal. Let's see, do they have women's sports? Do they separate women and men in horseback riding? Horseback riding competition. See, there I think it's equal because it's the horse, really, and how you work the horse. Certain gender equity matters in equestrian sport. See, I keep changing this. Most sports are divided by gender, men in one class and women in another, to prevent one sex from having a physical advantage over the other. But the gender of horseback riders and drivers is not considered an advantage or disadvantage. Hence, the equestrian events, there's no need to level the playing field by segregating men and women. See, on the surface, I agree with that. Equal but not the same. Equestrian sport. But see, there are even people saying that they should be separated in horseback riding. Let's see. I'll show you this picture. So pretty. It's a lady off on another tangent, but let me take that one off and let me share the other screen. Oh, oops. Present, share screen, equal but not. Look at this pretty picture. Equal but not the same. Equestrian sports unisex approach hides inequity. Oh, so apparently this is from 2016. Olympic equestrian events are celebrated for allowing men and women to compete within. Most Olympic sports are sex segregated based on the assumption that men. I'm sorry, I'm not reading it. I'm assuming you guys are reading it. Most Olympic sports are sex segregated based on the assumption that men have an unfair physical advantage, but good horse riding requires skill, technique, precision, and refined communication to form a partnership with the horse. Exactly. I've taken horseback riding. Maybe the only advantage is you can pull harder on the reins, but you don't even have to pull on the reins that hard. It's just actually the lighter you are on the reins, the more skill you have because you're able to communicate with very little communication, just a slight tug instead of a yank. So maybe in running, like jockeying, but even in horse racing, where you need a certain amount of strength to stay on the horse, and you know, uh, but even in horseback racing, female jockeys and male jockeys compete against each other because it's the horse. Let me see if I can let her. Are you going to be a good girl? Are you going to be a good girl? Or are you going to attack your mommy? Just open it and you can jump out. I'm not gonna have you attack me. I better get out of here. She can. I left the door open. It's a little bit of a jump, but she can jump out if she tries. Once she got stuck. Okay, come on out. But I'm not bringing her up on the couch. She's gonna bite me. She bites me every once in a while. But since I'm all right, the argument against sex segregation holds that it reinforces the idea that women and women's sports are second to men and men's sports, but integrating women into sports from which they were historically excluded does not necessarily raise the status of female competitors. Okay, yeah, horseback riding is a completely different issue. It's increased participation by women in equestrian sport in Sweden, for example, has been perceived as an undesirable feminization of the sport. Rather than a symbol of gender equality. That's an interesting. Now, see, I never would have thought that. That's interesting. But nah, I don't agree with it necessarily. I mean, some people maybe feel that's. I just you go to see the horse and the rider. Sometimes you can't even tell if it's a man or woman underneath because they got the hat on, and you know. But why so uneven? A big picture view of the equestrian sport and recreation sector reveals a cluster of women at amateur levels and a dearth at the professional level. I don't know what dearth means. Let me look that up now. Hang on. Dearth. Definition. I guess few. Scarcity. Okay. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. So a dearth means a scarcity. So a dearth at the I lost my place. Professional level. Since the 1970s, women have been the majority in Olympic dressage, the equestrian ballet, which accepted women in the 1952 Olympics, but they have always been underrepresented in Olympic show jumping, the equestrian hurdles or high jump program, which accepted women in the 1956 Olympics. Relatively low representation of women in elite levels of equestrian sport may reflect team selectors favoring male riders. Mostly, though, it's a repercussion of female riders giving up their own riding careers to support their partners and children. Yeah, they're different issues altogether, but some of these issues could carry over into sports, even where women and men are separate. Because if trans women start taking over spots of apparently now it's wrong to say biological women, but I'm going to say biological women. Um, that's I guess remains to be seen. But also, men, if there's no requirement to prove that you're really a transgender woman, I'm calling them real transgender women, the ones who truly are, not the ones who thought they were innocently, or ones who let's say it. Some men will take advantage of that and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a woman," and dress like a woman just so he can get, into an easier competition for him because he's competing against women who are physically as much as they work out and fight. They're never going to achieve the same as a man who's had the benefits of testosterone from birth until whatever adult age he's been. Now, if he transitioned, seeing that's where we bring in the whole thing about children and transitioning and all that. But oh, he can't get out. 1 second. Come here. What's the matter? What? Are you gonna bite, mommy? You're not coming on the couch with me now. You stay there. I'm scared of her sometimes. Oh, don't fall down. She fell down. Okay, you got up. Good girl. All right, go play with grandpa. When she gets like that, I'm scared of her. I'm nice to her within. All right. Anyway, the scenario is by no means unique to equestrian sport, but the equestrian is unique to its gender integration. Yeah, exactly. See, but it makes sense. It doesn't take strength, it takes skill to be a good horseback rider. But so is it time, the question here, and this is from 2016. So is it time we looked beyond the feel good glow of this and considered how it might be a barrier to equal opportunity for participation in all events and at all levels by men and women, et cetera, et cetera. If you're interested in reading, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But see, these are things I never even thought of. It just occurred to me now because I was talking about it. But I always thought, yeah, it's in a sport where it doesn't take strength, it's merely skill, like with anything, Uh, Let me see if there's a share that's not this big long thing though. One second. I'll get it if you're interested because it sounds like an interesting. I'm just very can't see right now. Where's the share button? I don't want to copy the URL because it's very long. Sometimes with the share button it's shorter. But okay, I'll just here's the article if anyone's interested. Uh, oh, I have some kind of gossip. Oh, let me look. Let me see the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat. Oh, hello, Katiana. Oh, let me go back. Oh, I'm missing all these chats. Let's see. Now the being gay is yeah, no, definitely people were in the closet. When you're talking about that, so there are more than we once thought. It's probably sometimes I think maybe it's a natural way of birth control. I mean, obviously now you can have surrogate mothers and all that, but maybe nature creates a certain portion of the population to be gay because assuming let's pretend we were all cavemen, we weren't in modern civilization, the gay people wouldn't probably not procreate because it's they would just have their partners and not procreate, and it's kind of a way of population control maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's nature creates things for a reason. It's not nature or God or whatever your beliefs are. There's a reason for it. We don't necessarily know the reason why they're there, but there are reasons ordinarily if it occurs in nature. But that means when there were a lot of, and I find myself when I was younger, I found great. I ended up fighting with him, but I had a very good friend who was gay. We had a fight for other reasons, but oh, and I found such solace in him because he actually had a man's point of view, but he had no interest in me for because you always wonder. Sometimes guys who are so understanding and so nice to you, who sometimes it turns out there's more interest in there that has nothing to do with where this guy was gay, so he had absolutely no interest in me other than we were just friends. So and so I found solace in him every time I had a bad relationship or something, or I had my issues. He was very understanding. Maybe I took a little too much from him and I didn't give in return all that he gave me emotionally. Now thinking back in hindsight, I had an argument with him back in 2000. Imagine 23 years I haven't seen him, and I probably never will see him again because it wasn't the first time we'd had a fight. But I was very needy at the time, maybe. So anyway, only the flamboyant gays like Charles Nelson Riley and Paul Lynde. See, I didn't know Paul Lynde was gay until years. I mean, he had already passed away. I didn't know he was gay. That's why people were so shocked when Rock Hudson was. Yeah, Rock Hudson. That was a shocker. And he got AIDS, which is how it turned. I guess eventually came out that he was gay. Right. That was what we were talking about. So we thought that anyone who had AIDS was because they were gay and it was a gay disease, and the rest of us weren't worried about. And I was so young at the time, I didn't have to worry about it because I wasn't active and I didn't have any blood transfusions. But even so, uh, but the quickness that we found for treatments was thanks to the gay community, and they ended up helping everyone because it was an issue in their community. They took charge and said, okay, well, this is happening, we gotta and they started support groups. I had joined, actually I was living in DC when I was young at the time. I joined a group called, because people were getting sick all the time. it, People with AIDS would get sick and they'd have to rush to the hospital sometimes unexpectedly because they had a something erupted in the disease. And people with pets. So I joined a group that would be assigned to taking care, like fostering pets for people who had to go to the hospital unexpectedly for AIDS. And also uh, the group would adopt the pets out, adopt them, foster them, and eventually find homes for them when eventually, unfortunately, we knew at the time everyone who got AIDS died. There was no cure. There's still no cure, although apparently 2 or 3 people actually now have been cured of it. But now it's not a it's not a death sentence as it was, which is surprising that Magic Johnson he got AIDS back in the time where we all thought, oh, everybody, oh, Magic Johnson's gay. Of course, then we realized, no, he'd gotten it. He was very sexually active. You actually, although it was less common, men could get it also from women. But he was very sexually active and, basketball player. Imagine in the Dream Team, he played with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It was that whole group. You can imagine. I don't know if he was married or not at the time, but sports players get a lot of action. They're rich, they're famous, they're usually young and fit and handsome. So imagine, I mean, what guy can resist that? You should resist it, but men usually won't. So so it turned out he had gotten, and he's still alive today. I think he had HIV, but never got the actual disease. He never got AIDS. He had it under control, and he, I guess, was one of the lucky ones that lasted. But ordinarily, you would die, especially if you got the disease. You might have HIV but not be sick, but just you knew you had it. So they started encouraging people to get tested. They really did a lot. I think, thank goodness, the gay people got AIDS first. I mean, I hate to say thank goodness anyone got AIDS, but thank goodness they got it first, because I think the rapidity, is that a word? The fastness or the quickness at which we came to feasible treatments that prolonged life. you know, Actually, now you can live with AIDS. Used to be you got AIDS, you died. Now you can live with HIV and AIDS, but you need to know you have HIV so that you can get treatment early before it becomes the full blown AIDS. And this is all stuff we learned back then, but uh, how do we get on all these topics? Oh, and it's back, guys. HIV is back. You got to always, young people out there, if you're sexually active with more than one partner, use condoms. Use condoms. If you're a woman, make your date use a condom. Don't trust anything. It's HIV is back. And although now it's no longer a life sentence, it's still not fun to have it, because you got to take medicines, and you got to, it's avoid getting it, and you don't want to pass it on someday. If you want to have children, your child can have it. It's, don't get it, use condoms. All right, that's my PSA for the day. But what were we looking at? So so I gave you the link to the equestrian article. Now we're going to go back to Renee Richards, because I keep on switching topics on you. So Martina Navratilova, also a tennis player, famous back in the time. I don't know if she played later than Renee Richards, so I don't think they ever played against each other. So Renee Richards, see, I'm losing my, caught a lot of, Navratilova got a lot of backlash from that. I'm reading the article. Which one are we sharing now? Oh, I closed that one. I'll share the screen I'm reading now. Renee Richards, so she's still alive, apparently. See, that was when he was a man, Renee Richards. And then he became a woman up here. That's him as a woman around, a few years later, I guess. The article's from 2016, but he played in did it say the 60s? Late 60s? He looks better as a woman than a man, personally, but anyway. As a man, he looks kind of like, who's that actor? He was on Chips. He wasn't that cute. He has a son who's very cute. But the actor, oh gosh, here I go on another tangent. Let's see, actor. He wasn't the one of the lead characters on Chips. Chips was a series of a police series. Chips series. Chips, 1977 and 1983. Eric Estrada was the two cops. I'll share this screen so you guys can see that screen now. Just jumping around again, sorry. And I'll read the chat soon. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not reading the chat. Wait a minute, I want to share Chips. Okay, see that? So Chips, see, these were the two main characters. That was Eric Estrada. He's Puerto Rican. And then the other guy. They were both really. Oh, here he is. Here's the other guy. He looks like this guy. There, he was the boss. Doesn't he look like him? What are you guys seeing? Let me see what you got. Oh, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Hang on. I opened a new screen. Here he is. Let me put that other screen on there. Share screen. Chips. Is it this one? Or is it this one? There he is. Yeah, it's that one. See, okay, look at this actor. These are the two main actors. But I'm talking about this was the chief. He played the chief of the police chief of the, you know. Oh, everyone was in love with. I was in love with him. That's Eric Estrada. Look at his smile. Perfect smile. Oh, he's still alive. He's after Chips, he wasn't, he was famous at the time. And then he was not famous in the US anymore, and he started doing Mexican soap operas in Mexico. But he did very well. So good looking. Oh my gosh. Anyway, uh, let's close that. So anyway, that's the chief. Not good looking, but not ugly. He's kind of just okay. But anyway, that's what Renee Richards looks like as a man. Now look. Uh, now I'll share the other screen. Okay, off on that tangent. Share screen. This one. Okay, there he is. Okay, I'll read the chat. So doesn't he kind of look like him, that actor? Anyway, so that was him as a man, and then this is her when she became a woman. Same player. All right, so where are they now? Catches of stars. Dennis Rodman. Okay. Right. So see, I don't think, but look at the muscles. I don't know. I think he had the benefits of being. Did he ever play? Let me see. Renee, did she ever play? Did Renee Richards? Is that right? Renee Richards. Did oh goodness. Did Renee Richards ever play in women's division? Play in the women's division. Division. Not wearing my glass. I'm wearing one contact lens, so I can't really division. Let's do that. What do you guys see? I have to keep going back here. Okay, Renee Richards. Her greatest successes on court were reaching the doubles final at her first U.S. Open in 1977 with Betty Ann. Okay, so she did play in the women's. Oh, wait, no, doubles doesn't have to be. Doubles can be a man and a woman. Oh, they did play against Martina. Look, the pair lost a close match to Martina and Betty. Okay, so Martina in the doubles. Okay, maybe having another woman evened it out. So Martina Navratilova. So even though Martina Navratilova beat her in the doubles, she still is against transgender women in women's sports, as we now know today. The 35 and over women's singles. Oh, wait. And she also won the 35 and over women's singles. Yeah, see, it's not fair. Richards was twice a semifinalist in mixed doubles with, all right. Yeah, but in doubles, she didn't do so well because she was playing with a woman, one could argue. So that was her handicap, although they played against two women and a man. But yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. It's not the first time we've argued women's in sport. It's just becoming more common now, apparently, because there are more people that are identifying as transgender. But let me read the chat again. So hi there. I only have one viewer according to this, but I hope people didn't leave because I turned the screen to black. But only the flamboyant. I read that. Hi. Oh, you're there, Owen. Yeah, I think, Owen, you might be the only one. Oh, there's Katiana. Or she was here. Okay, oops. I'm missing all your. That means only flamboyant, high. They could have used confrontational instead of tendentious. Okay. Sometimes writers like to use fancy words that are rarely used to me. Yeah, but tendentious kind of is a little more because it's tendentious trying to make you, it's controversial, but it's also trying to make you see things in one way. So it's like a little bit more exact. But for the record, I don't believe trans males should compete in most females athletic. Yeah, me too. Again, unless, let's say, if they've actually gone through the actual transition and cut parts off, kind of, it still doesn't make a difference because they could stop taking the female hormones and go back to, oh, no, no. Here's the thing, because when you get the parts cut off, there goes your testosterone. Exactly. I forgot about that. So, you know, let's not get too detailed. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think otherwise it could be any man just claiming, and then they say, oh, well, they can get tested to see the levels of testosterone. No, it's not that easy because they still, let's say they've been training all this time. When you have testosterone, you have more strength in training. And then let's say, okay, your testosterone level, you do something so that it goes down just before the competition, but you've been using the testosterone to benefit you in the training. So yeah, I don't think it's tendentious. My new word. It should be, I mean, in my mind, a clear cut and dry. Men, trans women should not compete in women's sports unless they've chopped things off. That could be, you know, if we really want to push it and we really want to be equal. Okay, if you chop it off and you've got everything equal as far as production of testosterone or the ability to produce it, then okay, then maybe we could consider allowing them to play against women, but not when they're still intact, for sure. And definitely, uh, you know, anyway, that's that. You're like me, I look up words I don't know the meaning of. Yeah, I do it all the time because I don't read very much, frankly. The most reading I've done is since the internet started, and I read articles and I skim through. I just don't have the patience. I haven't read many books. You know, I've read a lot of short things, and I get my education mainly for, even in college, I didn't do all the reading I was supposed to. I would kind of wing it, and I'd get bad grades, but I passed. I didn't go to a really great college either, so not to be, you know, I was never a studious person. I just couldn't concentrate at whatever. Who knows? At this age, I don't really care why. I just, you know, but I loved learning. I just didn't like learning from reading. I liked learning from being told, like people telling me things. But then, of course, if you only learn from people telling you things, you're at the mercy of them telling you the truth. They could be lying, you know. So you really should read. So I try to check things that I learned that I think are new to me. I at least Google and do some quick reading like you're seeing me do to kind of, and the important thing is the source, you know, like Sports Illustrated. I mean, and we're talking about what happened, you know, this is actual stuff that happened. So there's really nothing to verify, I guess. I trust Sports Illustrated is going to be honest about what happened in the 1960s with Renee Rich, you know. But uh anyway, looks like actor Peter Boyle from Everybody Loves Raymond. Oh, okay. When he was younger. Yeah, Peter Boyle. Oh, right. Peter Boyle is the big brother or the brother of Raymond, I think. Uh, and now I completely forgot what I was talking about. But anyway, so next Sunday I'm going to be interviewing Ryan. That's the plan. Now we've been talking back and forth about kind of what we're going to say. So getting back to my original point when I started this video, so we're going to stay off the topic of children and transgenderism just because, oh, yeah, I was going to give you, because it's extremely controversial. And what I'm trying to do with YouTube, if not anywhere else on the internet, is just to be, not get controversial. And I really even am kind of pushing it a little bit with talking about transgenderism because it is a controversial topic, but I want to keep whatever we discuss kind of non controversial, just opinions and people's experiences. Like Ryan will tell us a little bit about what he's gone through, And just so that talking about children and hormones is a little bit too controversial. And secondly, there's a lot out there already on the topic, so it's not like me not covering it is going to be you know that tragic. I mean, Marcus Dibb, Buck Angel. There are several transgender people now talking about how they feel about, and they're against it. Um, who's this one? Blair White is another lady on YouTube. I'll put the names there. You can look them up if you're interested in hearing the conservative side of transgender. There are transgender people who are conservatives, which kind of surprised me the first time I found Blair White. But okay, Blair White is ultra conservative, gun owning, beautiful transgender woman, very very beautiful physically. Blair White, she's a transgender woman. There's Marcus Dibb, who is a young transgender man, which I like. Uh, he's a young transgender man. And then Buck Angel is a quite old transgender man. He's even older than me. Raymond Marcus Dibb. Then we have, these are the three that off the top of my head. There are some others, but these are Buck Angel is a transgender man. And they're three conservative transgender people. Actually, Blair White is more conservative than I am, even. She's kind of hardcore. But it is possible to be transgender and conservative, because now some would say, well, the problem anytime someone who's conservative is not a white male, you're called a traitor to your whatever you are, whether it's your race, your gender, me as a woman. And that's not the case. That's if you have a very closed-minded view of what it means to be conservative. Now they tell you, oh, conservative is you're racist, you're homophobe, you're anti this, you're super religious. Anytime you're not, you cannot be forced to join a party, is what I'm saying. You should be allowed to join whatever part or feel, even if it's not a party, but feel or believe what you want to believe, because now they would be, I know that there are three transgender people. There are others who, although they agree with transgenderism for adults, they don't agree that children should be, taught gender studies at age whatever, 6 or 7, first grade. Leave it to the older kids. Maybe high school you could teach that, or middle school. I would say 8th grade is an age where you could, maybe if you're going to incorporate it into your health studies class, where they teach you sex ed and all that stuff, nutrition, all that stuff. I learned it in 8th grade. We didn't talk about gayness and transgenderism, although believe it or not. And I wasn't in Catholic school. 8th grade, I was in a public school. We learned sex ed, of course, how babies are. I already knew that because my parents had already taught me that. But in case your parents don't teach you that, okay, 8th grade is a good age to learn that in school, I'd say, but not first, 2nd grade. And same with transgender things and gay things. I believe 8th grade, if they're going to teach it in school, 8th grade. That's my opinion, not before. Before that, just let kids be kids. And the only thing you teach a child is respect. If there's a kid in your class who's kind of effeminate, or a girl in your house who's kind of a boy, tomboy, then you just respect the kid, and that's it. But you don't have to explain, and if the child's parents want to explain it to their kid, the kid can go home and say, there's someone at school who acts like this and that. Okay, let the parents teach whatever they want to teach. Hopefully they'll teach him to respect, especially if you're a Christian. I'll call out you Christians out there. Anyone who's Christian, I like to say I'm Christian. I sometimes flounder, but if you're a Christian, you teach your child respect. It doesn't mean you have to teach him agree with whatever, but if you don't teach him to bully and harass, and you just let the person in your class be who they are. And just, if you don't want to play with them, well, okay, just be polite and play with the kid you feel comfortable with. But we have to teach tolerance and respect. But we shouldn't be teaching anything more than that, I think. And in 8th grade, teach them everything that exists and how babies are made. And, we also learned how, how vaccine or penicillin, how penicillin was discovered, and, stuff about health. But I didn't care for learning when oh, I didn't either. Yeah. Regarding physical gender, mental gender, Mark. Oh, you do? Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't care for learning when I was in school about 30 years ago. I developed a huge interest in learning. I love watching documentaries. Yeah, that's a thing. I learned better through doing, like science labs and stuff, but then I would fail the tests, but I would do the labs. And people tell I loved going to class. That's the thing. I was a good kid. I would go to class. I would pay attention. I liked learning in class. Especially, I wasn't too great in history, which now I regret because history is very interesting, but at the time I didn't realize. And then, yeah, I liked going to school and being with my friends. I was good. I was polite with the teachers. I wasn't a bad kid at school, but I was a bad student. I didn't take the tests well. I didn't study. I do the homework like last minute because I had to, and I knew the teacher was going to ask for it. So, but I just was very, and same in college, same thing. I went to college because my parents told me to. I probably wouldn't have gone if it weren't for that. But I don't think it's necessarily about education, but it's about ensuring people who have questions have a safe space to ask. To ignore is not healthy. Yeah. Yeah. And like maybe if the child doesn't feel safe asking questions at home, granted. Yeah. There are kids in situations where they're not safe at home even. So I guess I can, but yeah, I can only speak to Christians. We're taught, and I went to Catholic school, whether or not I'm devout at this point, but in Catholic school we were taught to respect and love everyone, period. You don't have to like them or agree with their lifestyle or whatever. And yeah, you can pray for them if you feel what they're doing is wrong, but no violence, no hatred. So I don't know what other Catholics are teaching their kids, but um, it hurts me when people speak ill of Catholics because I love the religion. I was saved by the Catholic religion when I was young. I was bullied harshly in school before high school, especially eighth grade. It was the most miserable time of my life. I mean, honestly, I never tried to hurt myself, but there were times where I just wanted to. I was just wishing something would happen to me and I would be gone because I was so bullied. I was new in that school. I was not particularly attractive. I was kind of weird, and I just every day I'd come home crying. And luckily I had my family who were nice to me. They weren't able to solve the problem really, but uh and then I went to Catholic school, and I was saved by the love and the kindness of, sure, I was weird, but I wasn't judged for being weird. I was just weird. And as it turns out, there were four of my classmates. Two were older than me, and two were in my class. As it turns out now, years later, I found them again on Facebook, and they're married to people of the same sex. So, which at the time, yeah. And at the time in school, they were kind of, well, one of them was actually quite feminine, but she was not particularly attractive. And the other one was kind of a tomboy, but, you know, whatever. And then the two guys were a little bit effeminate, but again, they were just kids at school, nobody talked about it. Uh, and I mean, I found great comfort in, it didn't mean that people liked me. I wasn't popular. I was fat. I had pimples, but I could go to school and know that I wasn't going to be bullied, that these kids, their parents taught them to be nice to everyone, to, respect everyone, so bullying didn't happen in my school. And to me, there was one kid, but see, again, there were enough kids that didn't bully him, that the ones who did bully him were, and my experience in the public school was when you got bullied, maybe there were kids that didn't bully you, but they didn't get involved. They didn't defend you either. They're just like, "Ooh, I don't want to be friends with her because then I'm going to get bullied. Whereas in Catholic school, people would stand up for you. And they would even say, is that how you're taught at, that we're not taught to treat people, you know what I mean? So they would pull out the religion to counteract what I never got bullied, but other people were tried to get bullied, but then there would always be someone, well, that very well that we're not taught to treat people like that, and you're being a bad Christian, whatever. So just the fact that you're supposed to follow Christianity gave you some protection. And plus, if you believed in God, maybe that helped you, I guess. At the time, I didn't believe in God, or I didn't know. I was agnostic. I didn't believe. I did not believe. I just didn't think. But it was quite refreshing to go to a school where I wasn't judged for being weird, for having a weird name, you know, things like that. And I imagine people who even got bullied worse than me, it was even better for them. So but yeah, if please let me know if anybody out there, if you're mistreated by a Catholic. I'm not saying maybe they'll be dry or they'll ignore you, but if you're mistreated and said thing like made fun of for your race or your gender or your whatever, your disability, please let me know. And just so I know what other Catholics are teaching their kids, or other Catholics are doing, because they're not supposed to. Um, I was a Catholic for many years, went to a convent school in the UK. When I came out of 15 to my chaplain, I was told unless I abstained, I would go to hell. Yeah, yeah, no, we are told that those people who are gay are going to go to hell. Now, you won't. I mean, I can't say, but I don't believe that. But yeah, that they do teach that. But we're not supposed to be, you're going to hell. We're supposed to, you're going to go to hell, please. I'll pray for you. We're still supposed to be nice. Now, it's true. They do tell you that. We were told that. But, well, we were told if you don't follow Jesus' teachings, you're going to go to hell. So that means me too. Because and if you don't embrace Jesus as your savior, it can get extreme as far as what they teach. But even so, we're taught not to be mean to people and to pray for them and help them. So yeah, but yeah, maybe they think they'll scare you into believing in Jesus. That's not going to work. So yeah, I'm sorry that happened. That in our case, we were told, you go to heaven if you're good. You'll go to purgatory if you have not committed one of the deadly sins, which are gluttony, lust. There's 7 of them. uh, if you commit one of those and don't repent, you still have a chance. If you commit one of the deadly sins and don't repent, truly repent to God and beg His forgiveness and all that, but the rest of us are going to go to purgatory, which is like not heaven, it's not hell, but in purgatory you can get it right, and then you end up going to heaven. So yeah, it's very literal. It's taking the Bible very literally, which is why I don't think I can be a Catholic. And actually, I'm baptized a Methodist now. I was baptized a Catholic, then now I'm a Methodist, and I kind of don't really follow any. I don't follow any religion, but I can see the symbolism in the Bible. Here's an interesting thing. We're talking about religion again, because I'm fascinated by religion, and I think organized religion is very important as a guide to kind of, but yet taking the Bible literally can get dangerous, especially with all these translations that we've gotten, because it was written in some other language. I don't remember which one right now. I'm sorry, and it's been translated and retranslated, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and so yeah, I personally can't take the Bible literally, and I think Catholics do. They take it literally. They're actually, see, we're not supposed to now do Catholics, but see, in science class, that's why in science class they taught us the theory of evolution. It was a Catholic school, but our other classes had nothing to do with religion. They taught us the subject. They didn't tell if it was right or wrong or this or that. And then in religion class, they told us that's wrong or that's right. But I don't remember ever being told that evolution was not right. Let me see. Do Catholics, see, I even don't know, believe in evolution? See, I'm a bad Catholic. I don't even know that. I believe in evolution. So, okay, see, Catholics are free not to believe. So today the church supports theistic evolution. also known as evolutionary creation, although Catholics are free not to believe in any part of evolutionary theory. It is a theory, after all. It's a very strong theory, which is probably true, but Catholic schools in the United States and other countries teach evolution as part of their science curriculum. Yeah, because I learned evolution in science class, but we're free not to believe it. So it's kind of in the air there. And a lot of things in the Catholic original are in the air, which I take as, if you're not directly taught either believe or not believe, or you have your free will, you know, $1 man accused of, oh goodness. I'm not even going to read that article. Are you guys seeing my screen? No, you're not. Good. It was, the headlines kind of get you. But anyway, uh, yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, Scanjet. Now happily married to my husband that is 15 years and found a Christian church. Oh, good. Okay, see, that's good. Is more understanding. Yeah, and there is a Christianity for you. That's why I hate that people turn away from a religion only because they had such a bad experience with that particular. But yeah, probably if you are a Christian, Catholic Church is kind of uncomfortable to be at. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard to be a Catholic and gay. I don't know, but and I'm not. It's hard to be a Catholic even if you're not gay, which is why I'm not a 100% Catholic, but I support one people who are devout Catholics. I support them. If they can find that, you know, connection through the Catholic religion, then good. But I'm glad that you did find one that you can, because they do have churches that are more, I guess what do you call them? I guess they would be Protestant, because Catholic would be non-Protestant. Protestant means at some point people protested. So I'm probably a Protestant too, because I don't agree with some of the stuff that Catholic religion teaches. Uh, but but believe it or not, you don't go to hell for murdering someone in Catholic religion. You have to repent anyway, but you would go to purgatory for murdering someone. You don't go to hell for that. At least that's what I was taught. But gluttony, eating too much and enjoying it too much, you go to hell. So go figure. Uh, if you don't repent for enjoying it. So that's why, as long as you eat the cake and apologize to God that you're enjoying it, you can. No, I'm you have to truly, you can't just say sorry and not mean it though. But yeah, gluttony is you can have a piece of cake, for example, is how I interpret it. You can enjoy a piece of cake, but if you're enjoying it and nonstop and eating and eating and not stopping and not stopping and not stopping and enjoying not stopping, that's a deadly sin that could lead you to, I guess, well, of course, health wise, it's going to lead you to getting very, very heavy and unhealthy. So, your body is your temple. God gave you the body. See, that's why it's not compatible with transgenderism, because and I don't see how any religion could be compatible with physically changing your body, but it would be the same for any plastic surgery. So, I guess, I had a nose job, for example. My nose was a little bit wider, and at the time, I guess, and even now, I look at myself, and I do look a little bit better with my nose a little bit. It was just a little bit wider, but it made a difference. Now, looking at pictures of myself when I was younger, I notice. But on the other hand, some would say, well, that's the nose God gave you, and just, that's just how it is. And so same with any operation you do on yourself. Or what about children who are born with a hair lip, and it's all, they can't eat properly. So obviously God, let's say God made that child that way, but of course we're going to operate so that the child can eat better. And so I guess it could be, but yeah, the Catholic religion is not an easy religion if you're transgender or gay, or anything other than heterosexual. They accept interracial marriage, but I think, of course, they would also prefer that whoever you married be Catholic as well, uh, just so that you continue the teachings and all. But No, but they accept outside of your race. But yeah, other than that, they won't. They don't accept anything. So, but yeah, there are. I do know. I've seen other churches that accept, who you are as you are. You're if you're gay or transgender. But I would assume whatever kind of whatever you are, you would go to church with respect. You wouldn't go. That's what I think. I went to a church once because I found a Bible on the bus. It's some of my old videos you might remember. And I saw there was the church's name was in the Bible. So I said, "Oh, I'll go to this church and see whoever lost it. Maybe they want their Bible back. It was a nice little Bible. I guess they were reading it on the bus and forgot it or something. So, and I was curious, and I went to the church, and I didn't find the owner of the Bible, but I gave it to someone who said, "Oh, I know who it belongs to." So hopefully it got back to the owner. But anyway, so I stayed for the mass as long as I went anyway. And that was a very, everybody was in blue jeans. I had gotten, because I didn't know what kind of church it was. So I had gotten a little more dressed up. In Catholic church, we dress up and look nice on Sundays. And look nice, I mean, and you have to wear a skirt or, dress pants. You go with respect. You don't go in blue jeans, as far as I know. But this church, they were in blue jeans. They sang and they sang about Jesus. And I don't know if they accepted gays or not, but they probably, I'm guessing they would. And there are churches that accept gays, and I'm glad you found one. And going too much on this topic, but in your religious, then you don't marry people of this. I mean, as in, if you're religious, then don't marry people of the same sex. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm missing a lot of. Oh, wait, I'm missing all these. Hang on. I was Catholic for many years, yeah, and you said your priest said you were going to go to hell. Oh goodness. But yeah, they do tell us that. I did have that experience too. But I guess since my parents are not devout, it didn't affect me as much. But yeah, if you come from a very devout family, and then they're also telling you that at church and at school, I could see how it could affect you. You know. I was bullied all through school. Oh, I'm so sorry, Owen. Fear is a big motivator in religion. Yeah, fear of going to hell. You know, I was raised in a Southern Baptist. Eventually, I became spiritual, not religious. My motivator is karma. Yeah, exactly. As I feel that God comes in many forms. So if you can find him through an organized religion or through the Tao. I did read the Tao for a while. I believe Katiana. I don't know if she's still here. She's tried. I think you can find him through any channels. As long as I mean, there is a basic good that I don't know. Maybe I feel it's second nature, and maybe if I would have been raised in another situation, it wouldn't be second nature. But you kind of know that you should be nice to people, and you should be generous when to the poor, and don't judge people. I think those are just basic things that the Bible teaches, but just general morality teaches. So peace, which I don't necessarily always. I don't practice what I preach. Don't follow me for. But as yourself, as in you're God. I mean, Catholics are taught that we are made in the image of God. So you could take it a step further, and you know, as long as you find peace, and you're not harming other people, I think God is everywhere. So what? My mother karma. What I don't understand is why very religious people seem to be so affected. Yeah, the Christians. Yeah, when the progress such as gay marriage does not affect or the way they live. Exactly. And if anything, I think with this problem of children in foster care, and so many children without parents, we can argue why the reasons are. But right now in the United States, and I kind of stick with my own country here, there are so many children in foster care. And while we get it together, and get two parents back or whatever we need to do, we have the problem. And I disagree that you know uh, some of my friends will say, well, that's why we have abortion. I disagree that that's the solution. Yeah, it's a solution. I mean, sure, you can kill all the. I mean, granted, you don't kill them once they're already born, but yeah, you can kill the problem. Let's say you can argue whether it's a baby or a human being or not, but Sure. Oh, the easy way out is to just kill the life that, it's a life, even if it's not a human. If you don't want to agree that it's a human, I feel that whatever, from the moment it's conceived, is a human, but others don't agree, fine, whatever. But can we all agree that finding the quick way out and just killing the life? I mean, there are people who hug trees and risk their lives to save trees, and they won't do the same for a baby or a life in the womb, so as a quick solution, and never finding the solution where we don't need abortion. uh well, first of all, Catholics have got to stop judging people for using condoms. I mean, yeah, they told us it was a sin to use condoms, but again, it's not a deadly sin. You're not going to go to hell for using a condom. So I'll tell all Catholics, use condoms, and especially now with HIV coming back, just use condoms at least, if nothing else, and prevent uh, having to choose abortion if you're going to end up choosing that route, which I hope you don't. No matter what situation you find yourself in, whoever's out there listening, please don't abort the baby. But okay, that's again, when push comes to shove, I am pro-choice, but I'm very reluctantly so, because the way, getting back to my, so gay marriage, I think, is wonderful because it's two people raising a eventually, if you adopt, hopefully you'll adopt. If some will say, well, I want to have my own biological children. Okay, I can't, you can find a surrogate mother or whatever, but I would hope that now that you formed a loving couple, maybe adopt a child or foster, start doing foster care, knowing that the child may not be with you for a long time. Maybe the child just needs to be with you temporarily, till his parents get their act together, and then the child can go back. Is always the ideal situation. And you have to remember that the child is meant. I've never been a foster parent, only because I've never been stable enough. You have to have a stable house. But but so yeah, gay marriage, great. And gay men do sometimes, gay women do sometimes adopt children. Of course, we have that situation here where two lesbians. Okay, let's not talk about that one. That's very unfortunate, because there were a lesbian couple that adopted a lot of kids. They were half brothers and half sisters, so even the family was kept together. I thought ideally that would be perfect, keeping siblings together, you know but it turns out they were two crazy ladies that abused the children, and they ended up killing the kids and themselves. And so, how unfortunate, because they would have been a perfect argument for gay marriage and why it's a good thing, to Catholics at least. Maybe other people don't need to be convinced, but at least, if you could convince a Catholic that gay marriage at least provides a stable home, for children that need to be adopted. So, but yeah, that turned out badly. But there are a lot of examples that don't make the news of gay families who adopt children and give them a stable upbringing. Uh, so that's what I would use, and what I do use sometimes to talk to people who are more religious. But then, of course, if they're super, super, super devout, they're going to say, yes, well, but you're teaching them that the lifestyle is okay, and whatever. So you still, but some can still be convinced, I think, if you're not too far gone, uh, that gay marriage it should be embraced. But anyway, uh where am I mean, some people think of God as yourself. Okay, me too. I was Baptist and now I'm spiritual. I believe in the ancestors. Yeah, same here, Desmond. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Embrace your ancestry. But I still can tell I have Baptist. Yeah, whatever you're raised in, you're going to have some. And good. Keep the parts that are good about it. If there's parts of the religion that work, then, you know, you should read the book Three Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. It describes in detail philosophy that everyone is a god. Oh, I'll read that. Well, I'm not going to read it. I'm lying. I'll look at the cover, though, and I'll probably read like a little bit. If there's an audio book, but sometimes I don't even have the patience for audiobooks. I wonder if she's being good now. Here, she likes to go behind the couch. Oh, she's so cute. I love my little baby girl, even when she's mean. Oh, that's not her. There she should be over on this side. That's a toy that I got. I'm not wearing my glasses. What are you doing? You coming? You want to say hi? Are you gonna attack mommy? She hungry? What time is it? It's a little early still. Did you fall down? What are you doing? You gonna? I say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, she's so cute. Just look at her for a little bit. And I sometimes mix that up when I'm not wearing my glasses. She's got a dachshund toy. Oops, she fell down. Did baby girl fall down? You gonna be mean to mommy? You're gonna be nice to mommy. You gonna growl at mommy? No, but when she bites, she bites. All right, enough. I think you're beautiful, but not everybody does. Your dumb hairdo. Look at that hairdo. What are we gonna do with you? Oopsie, she's cringing. You're being a good girl now. All right, mommy will feed you soon. No falling down. Go play with grandpa. All right. Oh, oops! Don't fall down. There's a story of a. He's single though. I just saw it on the. It's been in the news before. It's not a news story, but I saw it again a day or two ago. There's a gay man in Italy who adopted a little abandoned baby. I guess the parents didn't want her. She was a little girl with Down syndrome. And he saw her and decided, I'm going to raise her. And, he's raising her. And so it's a touching story. And yeah, but he's single. Unfortunately, it would be nice if he found someone. He's such a nice man. So, Helen. I will say that LGBT have been made a political weapon. Yeah, by both sides. Yeah, I always say my existence is not political. I'm just me. Yeah, people start to use, and it happens. I see it happening in the U.S. with Black people. Both sides also, like the left feels they own Black people. They own in quotes. I don't mean own, but like if you're not with us, then you are. They call them different names, like that they're traitors. But by the same token, the right the right who, of course, you have the far right who are racist and anti-gay and anti-everything. You do have that, but you have the far left, and what I always say, there's racism everywhere. On whatever political persuasion you find yourself, there will be racists. But the ones on the left will pretend they're doing it for the good. For example, and they'll argue with me on this, back to abortion, I say in the United States today, not always, but today, the largest number of babies who are aborted are Black. It's just a statistic. You can look it up. It doesn't mean anything about the people who are having the abortions. It's situations. And so the left is arguing that the overturning of Roe v. Wade affects Black women the most because the right is racist, because look, the ones who suffer most from the overturning of Roe v. Wade are Black women. Well, but by the same token, the most babies who are being killed are Black babies. So if the right were racist, why would we not be in favor of abortion? Since, you know what I mean? And at the time when, we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go. You can look into the history of abortion. What was the name of the lady? And there are reasons for abortions. And again, no judgment. Even the Catholics, of course, Catholics. I was raised. Well, I wasn't raised Catholic, but I went to the Catholic Church. Abortion is wrong, and you're killing a life, and all that is true. That we were taught that, but again, we're supposed to feel bad for the mother who ended up making that choice, and again, pray that she forgives herself, or maybe you don't have to forgive yourself if you don't feel that you did anything wrong. I mean, that's but it's free will, and you make your own bed, you lie in it, is basically, if you chose to have the abortion, that and then regret it later, you know you have to deal with that on your own with God, and however, so but so see how they're using the Black woman as an argument for abortion, that it's wrong to overturn Roe v. Wade. Don't use her as a political tool, is all I'm saying. Because yes, by the same token, the right can do what I just did. I just did it myself. I'm guilty just right now. Oh, well, if we were racist, then why do we want to kill black baby? You know what I mean? So I'm using it too. So both of us need to stop. I think we need to end abortion by appealing to people to be careful, to use birth control, which Catholics are also against using birth control. So that's where, you know, if you're a Catholic, God will forgive you. Use a condom. And I always say, if God wants you to have a baby, he'll make sure the condom has a hole in it. So don't use condoms. If you're a devout Catholic, yeah, I'm telling you to break the rules and use a condom if you're not supposed to be having sex before marriage anyway. So if you're already breaking the rules, so at least use a condom. Actually, that's a good one. I'm going to post that one now that I just remembered. I didn't think of that one. If you're going to be having sex now, let's leave out the other reasons why people get pregnant, because we know it's not always consensual. There are reasons you might get pregnant by force and all. Let's not go off onto that topic now. But the way to end abortion, at least elective abortion, there are reasons why you need to have it because your life is in danger. But blah blah blah. You, so what you just said, Scanjet, is what I see sometimes the left and the right do to black women, especially black people, but black women. She is the tool. She's the one who gets pushed around and this and oh well, and black women need to just take everybody's information and make your own decisions and not feel like you're owe anyone. Like the left tries to make you feel like you owe them sometimes, or you owe them your loyalty. And yeah, the right has done horrible things too. And I think their ignorance, and hopefully I'll educate some people with, at least educate. I don't want to say educate; it's not a good word. Give people a different point of view, you know, because and the racism, when you do find it on the left, it will be more covered up. It'll be like I said, maybe there is someone who knows that a lot of black babies are being aborted and they just won't bring it up because it does, you know what I mean? So it could be or could not be. That's why you make your own decisions. I'm trying not to do the same thing as I'm accusing the left of doing. So uh Planned Parenthood was meant to get rid. Well, see, that's what some people say. some some say that Margaret Sanger, that was one of her arguments in favor of abortion, and the left will say no, that's not true. And then you look on the internet, so you can look it up on your own and do your own research. Margaret Sanger, yeah, I believe there. I mean, it's right there written that one of her arguments. That doesn't mean that everyone else who believes in abortion believes like she did, though. But yeah, her argument, one of the arguments in favor of you say pro-choice. It's pro-abortion. It's pro-choice to have an abortion. So, but okay, pro-choice. One of her arguments in favor of legalizing abortion was that a lot of black people will then have abortions, and so that's what some people say. And there's an argument against that too, which I have heard before, and I don't really, since I'm against abortion, I kind of don't pay too much attention to the argument to counteract that argument. But they're both, the arguments are out there. You can look up Margaret Sanger. I just remembered her name. Is she was very the one who did a lot of effort to have abortion legalized, which I still think should be legal. Maybe not at 20 weeks. So now it's down to 6 weeks. I think that at the point the baby is created, it's no longer about you anymore. It now has to be about another life and you. And make the choice that you feel is best for you, yes, after all. But there are too many babies being killed out of convenience and not because the woman really needed to have the abortion. And yeah, then you'll say, well, put the baby up for adoption. But yeah, the system is a mess. The foster care system's a mess. The adoption, there are babies who will be a lot more work. I mean, for example, what if you had a human baby that came out like this one? Yeah, she's a kooky little girl with all her kookiness. Oh, my sweetness. And it's fine. She's not suffering. She's weird or whatever. She doesn't appear to be suffering. Although I wonder, see, sometimes I try to pet her and she cringes. So I guess she feels some discomfort there. But for the most part, she's a happy little girl. You know, she's mean to me sometimes, but I think she's just spoiled. But uh, yeah, yes. What if you find out through amniocentesis that your child has, although sometimes those tests are wrong too, uh, your child has Down syndrome or some other disease, or in the case of my godson, he has sickle cell anemia, and he suffers horribly sometimes when he does have an episode. He hasn't had one in a while, thank goodness. In over a year, he's been okay. But sometimes he has to go to the hospital, and he's in pain. I can't imagine what pain he's going through, but he's in pain from head to toe. Just every piece of him hurts when he has an episode of this, I guess, sickle cell anemia. Sometimes the blood gets stuck in your veins, and it's apparently extremely painful. And his mother. One time I visited him in the hospital, and I don't know his mother very well. I only work through his grandmother, who's half raising him. But I did have a chance to meet his mother, and we talked a little bit, and he was right there in the bed. And I don't want to say she's a horrible person. She's had her problems too in life. But she said something like, well, she said something that I didn't, react. But she said something like, and maybe she was seeing him in so much pain that's why she said it, not saying it. Maybe she saw her baby in pain and said, if I could avoided this pain, I would have done it. That's how I am choosing to interpret it, you know. Uh, but she said something like, the child was there, and he was a lot younger, and he was kind of half asleep because he was in so much pain, and I guess they'd given him drugs, so he probably didn't necessarily hear her. But she said something along those lines, like, sort of, if I could have prevented this by ending she didn't say those words, though. She said it in a less direct way, so maybe the kid didn't even understand what she was talking about. So it doesn't matter. But she said something like that, like, if I could have ended this, I would have. But uh someone in her family, a lot of people were telling her they didn't know that he had it. um they didn't know he had sickle cell anemia until he was born, because apparently she didn't get tested for it or something. And someone in her family was the only one who told her, she was going to have the baby aborted, supposedly. And her whole family, because she was a girl with problems, young. I think she was just barely 20. I mean, still not a teen mother, but she was young. I'm trying to count. She's probably 20, 21, not a teen. She was, but barely an adult, and definitely mentally not mature. She was having, problems, drugs and things young girls with little direction get themselves into sometimes. No father at home, which might not have changed things. Maybe she would have had a father at home and still, you know, but so everyone was telling her, look, you don't need this right now, get rid of it. Basically we're telling her, and I don't know. And so one of her family members told her not to. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's your baby. It's your child. Whatever. She ended up not having it. Thank goodness. But I can understand. I can understand how you might, and it's so easy. It's legal, and it's right there, and you can go to Planned Parenthood, and it's over in a short while. And it's just it should not be that easy all the time. It should be difficult emotionally. It should be easy if you decide to do it, but the decision should not be so easy. And it's become too easy. It had become too easy. And now it's happening less, but my fear is some people might be doing it now, um, in backwoods abortion clinics that are elite, so the safety level might be going down. There will be less abortions now, but the safety of the ones that are done are going to be worse. So And then you have two lives that end. Sometimes a woman has a botched abortion because it's done illegally at some backyard clinic, and there's the danger of also now a mother as well as the baby dying. The baby's going to die regardless if it's aborted, but and so I don't know. While I'm kind of on the one hand happy that Roe v. Wade was overturned to bring awareness that we can't just be willy nilly deciding to kill a baby because we were irresponsible. At the same time, the danger level has gone up. So, so 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe, by then, okay, women say, oh, well, but it's 6 weeks. A woman might not even know she's pregnant. Well, you knew you had sex, and many of you know you had sex without protection. And those of you who were using protection and it failed, you still know that contraception can sometimes fail. So, if you're going to be living that way and having sex, okay, I'm not going to judge you for having sex outside of marriage, but recognize that there's always the risk of getting pregnant. So, even if you're using birth control, well, that comes with the territory that sometimes it fails. And well, too bad if at 8 weeks you didn't know you were pregnant, or 6 weeks you didn't know you were pregnant, and then found out later. Well, you know, you're adult enough to be having sex, then you're adult enough to decide to put the baby up for adoption, or have it and raise the child. And even if you're a teenager now, and if you were raped, of course, that's a different situation. And I would say immediately, if you can, if it's not a situation where you can't get away, because some people can't get to the hospital right away. But if it's an acute case where you were attacked and assaulted and left, they left you there, thank goodness you survived, get yourself immediately, as soon as you can, to a hospital. So if there is something there, it likely will be taken care of immediately. Yes, there's still a baby, but they have to clean you out, they have to cure you. So likely the baby, whether or not it's there, is going to be gone. I lost some viewers. I'm probably getting too deep in here. I always end up talking about abortion because I just, the right and the left are arguing, and they're not. We've got to come to an agreement. The far right has to come to an agreement that we need to teach sex ed in schools and teach the proper use of contraception. And the left has to stop being so flippant about, oh, it's my body, I can do whatever I want. And if, yeah, you can. It is your body. You can do whatever you want, but you're teaching people that just it's a quick fix, and a baby at 20 weeks is a baby. You cannot dispute that anymore. 20 weeks, it is a baby. It may not be viable outside of the womb, but you see the head, you see the fingers, you see the heart beating, they respond to stimulus. If they hear music or a loud noise, they kick, or one lady told me one time she was going down an elevator. It was a fast elevator, and the baby kicked, because when you go down the elevator, you feel like the stomach thing. So, and she was, I think, I don't know what weeks she was, but I don't remember what week she was. I'll give it that. It might have been later in pregnancy, but and they say, well, most abortions occur before that time, before the baby, in the first 8 weeks or so. Well, they still shouldn't be happening as much as they are, as much as they were. And now we'll see, now each state comes up to their own decisions about what week it is. And I see that as a good thing. And maybe, yeah, the states that are a little bit more, yeah, it's not a cut. You can't just say, oh, it's not that easy. It can't be that easy. And yeah, maybe for some people say, yes, it can. It's just that's how it is. But then you're not really seeing the depth of it. The fact that if a man stays with a woman, she's less likely to have an abortion because she feels supported. Like if you're a guy that's out there having fun, and yeah, sure, the woman could sue you for child support or whatever, but don't make it that difficult. If you're going to go out there and have fun, guys, now I'm talking to you, you don't want to use a condom, then you're part of the problem, because that woman likely would not have an abortion. Not always, sometimes she'll still have it, but if you are there and letting her know that you'll be there for the child, even if you're not going to be with her, uh, she'll feel less scared, especially a poor young little teenage girl who, yes, she chose to go with the guy, but but that's why teens, if you're a teen, you should be using, you shouldn't be if you're a teen, but if you are having sex, use a condom. Again, I always go back to that. It's so simple, and I don't care to hear any excuses of why you can't use them. If you can't use them, then don't have sex, because that's the simplest thing to do. And if not, go. Planned Parenthood is great for getting on birth control or whatever you need. I'm sure at least back in the 80s, they would give away free condoms at Planned Parenthood. You go, there's a bowl of condoms, especially because there was HIV during that. A lot of HIV was, nobody knew how, but we knew how to prevent it. So there were bowls of condom. You go into Planned Parenthood, grab a few and leave. They should do that today. Planned Parenthood should still give away free condoms. And I've heard, and I might be wrong, but I've heard, I think I looked it up and it's not true, but it's got to be true somehow, because they say that they have certain quotas of abortions that they have to reach. But let me look it up now, because I think I then looked it up and it was not true. So I don't want to give them. Planned Parenthood has some good things about it. I don't agree necessarily that abortion, their flippant attitude towards abortion is what bothers me about it, because Planned Parenthood is awesome as far as planning for, but contraception is one thing. Birth control, for them, abortion is a form of birth control. Eugenics. It's eugenics, and whether it's a white baby, black baby, Asian baby, you're killing babies to keep the population down. And you need to be okay. Planned Parenthood abortion quota. I'm just going to do it. Abortion, because I read an article that it was not true, but the goal of Planned Parenthood should be to make abortion not necessary. They should be pushing more for the contraception part of it. And it should, and you should be required to have an ultrasound. You should be required to have an ultrasound. You should know that your baby's heart is beating. And oh no, because that's going to make her feel guilty and then she won't have the abortion. Well, good. She should feel bad if she's doing it just because she was irresponsible. Oh, I'm getting mad. I don't want to be judgmental. You need to know that the baby's heart is beating. And then if you still have the abortion, okay. But know that you are killing a life, if not a human being. All right, I'm sorry. I can't talk about abortion because I get to support Planned Parenthood. Does Planned Parenthood enforce abortion quotas? Snopes. Okay. It's Snopes, but I don't trust Snopes anymore. I think they've become a little leftist. But Snopes claims, I think that it's not true. Let's see. Does Planned Parenthood enforce? Oh, let me give you the page so you can see what I'm reading. Hang on a second. Present. Share screen. Does Planned Parenthood enforce? That's Snopes. Okay. An anti-abortion activist revived claims that Parenthood, abortion quotas. Okay. Planned Parenthood enforces abortion quotas. Unproven. Okay, unproven. That means it's not true. It's not false. I think Planned Parenthood is nonprofit, I think, right? Is Planned Parenthood nonprofit? I believe it is. Is Planned Parenthood, which makes a difference because Planned Parenthood nonprofit. I think it is. Planned Parenthood, Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood Federation is simply Planned Parenthood is a nonprofit organization. Okay, that's Wikipedia, but I believe it. I believe it's nonprofit. So, they're not trying to make money, but of course they do have to pay their employees. I mean, even a nonprofit has costs. They have to pay employees. They have to, it's a business. It's a business as far as you have people living off it. So I assume abortion brings in more income than, even if it's not a quota per se, it's not, but they have to bring in a certain amount of money to keep Planned Parenthood functioning. So an abortion will cost you'll need a doctor, whereas giving out free condoms, you won't need a doctor around. You just, you know what I mean? So while it's unproven and likely it's not directly, oh, we have to get a certain number of abortions this month. Indirectly, it's kind of true, I think. So, you know, if they could make more money pushing contraception, I'm sure they would stop doing abortions and, you know, but oh, I better wait a minute. Uh, Desmond, I was researching. Oh, wait, let me see here. Margaret Sanger. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, so we were starting there. Your existence is non-political, just me. And my point was that's what I see. What you just said. That's what I see. The position of Black women, African American in particular, in America. They're kind of like a pawn, a political pawn, from both sides or whoever. So they have a very special situation. They Black people will get, when it's convenient, they'll get lumped into the larger minorities, and each minority has a different situation. You cannot compare. There's less racism against lighter skinned minorities than there is against Black people. Yes, that's true. When there's racism, it's going to be, okay, well, then let's hire a Latino. When they used to lump affirmative action, all just, you had to be a minority. It didn't matter what color. Let's hire the Latino. Or whatever. Maybe they wouldn't say it, but it would sort of like, and like I've admitted to it, and I'm kind of ashamed now. I would apply to jobs and I would check off Latino because I knew I had a better chance of getting the job. Or when I applied to college, I believe it wasn't like what Elizabeth Warren did, though, because she went to like where did she go to college? I went to a college that I probably would have gotten into anyway, but I was a bad student. So I said, oh, I better just to make sure. Let me see. Where did Elizabeth Warren go to college? Because Elizabeth Warren, white as I am, put that she was Native American. Where did Elizabeth Warren go to college? But I think was it like one of the Ivy League schools where it was highly competitive? Political graduate from college, Rutgers. Okay, I don't know. It wasn't Ivy League then, but anyway, she did the same thing. I won't judge because I did it too. So, um, uh, Planned Parenthood was meant to get rid of Black people's reach and got the concept that Planned Parenthood was great to help decline the Black race. Yeah, that I believe that was one of the arguments. I don't believe that the people today necessarily agree with that as one of the reasons, but um, keep writing. But yeah, and unfortunately, a large number of, disproportionately, I just looked it up a day or two ago because I was curious. A disproportionate number of African Americans, percentage wise, are in foster care, and the foster care system is a mess. That's true. So another argument that they are maybe have a good position on, let's say, or a good argument that the Democrats say, yeah, well, who's going to raise all those unwanted kids? And it's true. A lot of them, some of them get lucky and get adopted or find a good foster family, or their parents finally get their act together and can take them back. That does happen, but it's, in general, it's a mess. We find foster families that have mistreated their children, or again, I don't want to even, it's such a pity about those two women because they had adopted 4 or 5 kids. The one where, remember during the riot, a young Black kid with a hat, what was his name? Devante, hugged one of the police. And then they did a movie about it. And it turned out that the two lesbian mothers were just horrible people, not because they were lesbian, they just horrible, crazy women that were abusing the kids. And one of them ended up driving off a cliff and they all died. So, so unfortunate because, oh, I think of every time, because that's like, that encompasses everything. Homosexuality, homosexual marriage, children in foster care, it encompasses everything. The police, also the kid was hugging the police, and it was just, they could have been a storybook. They could have been a storybook case where, look, and on top of that, the young kid was hugging the police. And it just turned out so badly. And what a pity. Devante, I won't even look it up. It's just too depressing. That would have been like the story we would use to show the Catholics that, look, you know. And on top of that, he respects the police, and he was hugging the policeman, and his mothers are lesbians, and they were siblings that were kept together. I mean, the story could have gone so right, and it went like the exact opposite, and it messed things up for everyone, for the gay people, for foster care, for the pro-life people. It messed it up for everyone. This one bad apples, one two bad apples, let's say, the two messed it up for everyone. Because messed it up for everyone. I mean, I shouldn't be putting so much hope on one couple, but anyway. If I finish in a woman and get her pregnant, I take responsibility. Be an adult. Yeah, and if you don't love her, well, you shouldn't. I don't know what you meant by finish in a woman. I hope it's just a language barrier. I hope you meant if I finish up with a woman that I'm not dating her anymore. I hope that's how I'm going to choose to take it, because you should not be. If I'm interpreting it the other way, you should not be finishing in a woman. You know what I mean? You should be not finishing in her. You should be using a protection so that you don't, if that's how you meant it. But I'm hoping you meant it that you've broken up with a woman, you don't love her, but she happens to be pregnant. You take responsibility for the child, and it should only happen once. You should only be making one mistake. I mean, I don't buy these women. Oh, another mistake. Oh, another mistake. Oh, and if it happens once, you should have learned your lesson and not do it again. So, but yeah, whatever. You have a child, it's your child, and you let that woman know that you don't try to convince her to get rid of it, because that's what men will do, ladies. They'll say, oh, women's rights, and it's your body and it's your choice and all that. And I support you if you want to get an abortion. Oh, my father, buddy. But of course he's going to do that because he doesn't want to have any responsibility for the kid, because he wants to just have his fun and wants you to get rid of the problem. So I don't trust men who say I'm in favor of abortion because of women's rights. Some of them mean it, okay, and they really sincerely believe what they're saying. But a lot of men are in favor of pro-choice because it's easier for them. And he can just talk to her and say, oh, yeah, that's too bad. Our relationship will be so much better without the complications of the child, of a baby, and then as soon as she gets the abortion, he can dump her. So, or he's planning to dump her eventually. So I know of a case. That's why, I mean, and that's just one case. Granted, I don't know, but I know it happens. That one case, and this was not even a teen young guy. This was a guy in his 40s, and he begged her to get an abortion because it would be better for the situation. And it was bull. He just didn't want to have to deal with the baby and all women's rights and all that. So, men do need to butt out to a certain extent. Yes, you have an opinion. If your child is you have made a child with a woman, yes, you could tell her, well, I'd rather, just be honest, I'd rather not have the responsibility. But you shouldn't even. You should be saying to her, look, it's completely your choice. If you're going to claim to be pro-choice, it's completely your choice. If you decide to have the baby, but say that if you decide to keep the baby, I will be there. Period. Nothing else. You don't have to you don't want to lie and promise, because some men will promise because he's against abortion. Same thing, other side. The man is against abortion, and he promises that he loves her and will be there for her so that she'll have the baby, and then he'll dump her, but he'll still have his baby. At least he'll still be there for the baby. You're not going to convince a woman to have a baby if you're not. I mean, I hope if you do that, then that's almost worse, than a guy saying, look, I want nothing to do with you, get rid of it. As harmful and hurtful as that is, at least he's being honest, rather than if you're going to abandon the woman, So my point is, don't, ladies, when you say men butt out, it's for both sides, whether he's for the baby or against it. And don't be pressured into having an abortion because you think that the relationship will be better. By the same token, don't be pressured to have the baby if a man promises to be there for you. But at least know that you're killing a baby. I'm going on too long about abortion. I'm sorry. Oh, I am. Okay, I'm crazy. Fine. Hey babe, the leftists say my body, my choice when it comes to abortion, but then want everyone to. Well, see, that's why I was forced. I mean, I was always kind of more on the side of pro-life, and abortion should be restricted and all that, until actually COVID made a lot of people like, wait a minute, now what do we do? My body, my choice, but I don't want to get the COVID. That I don't want to get the shot. I did get the COVID shot, by the way. Uh, but I still think it should be your choice whether or not to get it. But um, suddenly, my body, my choice. Okay. Oh, except for if we're going to stick some unknown substance into you or whatever, So that's when I realized, okay, then now I'm being a hypocrite because I'm saying people don't have to be forced to get a vaccine, my body, my choice. But at the same time, I'm saying that women have no choice. Although the added complication, granted, because I know that it is a baby, and others will say, I know that it's not a baby. So there we go. It comes to that. But because yeah, the left will say, oh well, but if you don't get the vaccine, you're affecting other people. Well, having an abortion affects other people because you're killing the baby. So it's an even, for me it's an even argument. So you can't be pro life and pro choice on the vaccine. If you're going to be pro choice here, you have to be pro choice there, or vice versa. If you're going to be that you're forced to get the vaccine, then you should not. If you're pro-choice on the abortion, you're pro-choice on the vaccine. That's fine. If you're pro-forced birth, there we go. If you're pro forcing a woman to have birth, then you should be pro forcing people to get the vaccine. I mean, equal. For me, it's not a. But yeah, I realized that I was always kind of on the fence, but I leaned more towards no, it should be pro-life because it's a baby that is dying and all. But when COVID came about, I said, okay, now I have to choose which side I'm going to support because you have to make it the same. You have to, there can't be any illogical connections. So that's when I said, okay, I'll be reluctantly pro-choice because you can't. So I am, uh, but also bear in mind also anything I say is going to be a little bit tinged because I believe that you are killing a baby. So but it's not out of evil that, yeah, forcing anyone to have, yeah, it's never going to be a shut and open shut case. It never will. But as it turns out, that vaccine doesn't even work. So, I did get it because I decided to trust what science we knew at the time or what we believed to be true, which now is being unraveled. But, I never got COVID. So, but some people got the vaccine and did get COVID. So, uh, Elizabeth Warren is Pocahontas. Yeah. And then, I mean, Trump did say that, but she did do what she said. It would be like someone calling me, although I do have Latino background and I speak Spanish, but obviously it's affirmative action was not meant for me. I speak perfect English. I'm white, you know, I'm relatively privileged, relatively. I personally am not, but I have, I've always had my home and food on the table and, so it was certainly not meant for me. And I decided to jump on, oh, I'm going to say that I'm Latino, and you can't get away with it as much as you used to. I think now they have different ones, and they even have the distinction between white Hispanic or white Latino, white Hispanic. So I'm forced to check if I'm going to use that. I have to check that I'm white, which is fine. That's how it should be. We should not be piggybacking on other people's, difficulties. Real vaccines are good. Yeah, that was experimental, and now it just came out in the news that there was well, anyway, it's over, but it's starting to come back that they're suggesting the vaccines, and as long as it's suggested you get the vaccine or suggested to wear a mask, okay, I'll accept that. You can encourage, maybe on an airplane. I'm kind of against it, but okay, airplanes are enclosed. If they want to force you to wear a mask on an airplane, okay, I'll the mask wearing didn't bother me that much because you weren't putting anything in you. It was getting annoying though. I mean, the mask, and it was getting kind of annoying, and it was getting to the point where if you weren't wearing a mask, even if you were far away from people, you were getting harassed. So at one time I got harassed on the street. I was wearing a mask, but I was looking for trouble and I got it. But that I was still wearing the mask and I was wearing it properly. I won't go into detail, but leave me alone. I'm wearing the mask. I was being confrontational, but I was wearing it. So let me go. Leave me alone. All right. Oh, oh, my ASMR. Oh gosh. As Evita. Oh my goodness. Yeah, ASMR. Anyway, how long have I been on? I better go. But so guys, next Sunday I'm interviewing Ryan, which is, for those of you who don't know, he's a one of my followers who I don't see on here today, but who is a gay man who at one time was transitioning. He was becoming a woman and at some point changed his mind. So I'm just going to interview him, just a friendly, informational interview. It's not going to be a confrontational, like, oh, why did you, just to hear his experience. Like you, Scanjet, had told me your experience with the Christianity or with Catholic religion. And I appreciate that because you are right about that. They need to, they're not going to change anyone by saying you're going to hell. I mean, it's obviously you're going to be who you are. So, but I still don't think they should get the flack that they got. I guess because my experience with the Catholics, since I'm not gay, but actually even those classmates that turned out to be gay, we now know on Facebook, they went back to reunion, and at least the people from our class were nice to them. Maybe that was an older priest from other times. We have now this Pope Francis, who's Argentine, by the way, and he's a um, little more progressive, you know, within reason. I think he still is. I mean, he's got to be against abortion because that's Catholic. Pope Francis on abortion. But he likely says it's not for us to judge. The woman had her free will. God and her will work it out. That's what we're supposed to do. So I'll assume he's going to do something like that. Pope Francis on abortion. And then I'll end. I ended up talking about abortion again. I try to stay off the topic, but Pope Francis respects U.S. Oh, well, he respects the U.S. Supreme Court decision and condemns abortion. Okay, well, there we go. I mean, he's supposed to condemn abortion. Catholics are supposed to be against it, but so he's not doing anything that any other pope didn't do. But he's still. But we're also against the death penalty, by the way. Liberals, if you didn't know that, Catholics are extremely against the death penalty, even for murderers, rape, whoever. We're also against the death penalty. So at least, again, the logic is still there. We're pro-life in all respects. It's God will judge the rapist, God will judge the murderer, God will judge the whatever the person did, and he'll also judge the person who had the abortion. It's up to them. It's for us to love everyone. And now I know sometimes the priests don't put that across properly, but anyway, of a record store because I was wearing my mask a half inch below my nose. Yeah, you were supposed to wear it properly. I was wearing it properly at the time. But I was being confrontational twice. I was because I was just, you don't force me, but okay. One time was on a plane and I got confrontational, but I wore it. But I let her know that I was disagreeing. I fought with the stewardess. I said, I'll wear it because I need to get to where I'm going, but I'm going to make sure everybody knows I'm against it. Because I thought to myself, I'm going to speak out so that other people, not everyone on the plane agreed with it, and most people aren't going to talk. I said, let people know that some of us are out here who disagree with this, and I'll still wear it because I need to wear, but I didn't do anything. I didn't physically, I stayed in my seat sitting. I had the mask on, but I said, I'm wearing this mask, but I'm going to make sure everybody knows that this is BS. I said the bad words and this and that and the other. And I'm just wearing because I need to get to where I'm going, but I'll make sure you. And then she said, oh, ma'am, came over me, some dumb, stupid stewardess. It's over. They didn't kick me off the plane, but. And then the other time, a man swerved his car at me. Now, see, now that's getting, no matter how confrontational I was being, that man swerved his car at me. That's the beginning of civil war. That's when when men are physically threatening women for not following what they believe is right. Notice when a man who disagrees with you is being abusive to you, either very abusive verbally, insulting you as a woman, I was told you're, because I said, oh, what about women's rights and women's equality and women's empowerment? He said, yeah, well, you're a woman who's not worth it. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. When those things start happening, that's the beginning of a civil war. And we in the third world know this, those of us who come from the third world. When men start attacking women from the other side, and I don't mean physically all the time, but getting verbally aggressive, insulting her femininity, especially men who are supposed to be for women's empowerment, you know, you can kind of, I'm not saying it's right either way, but at least the right isn't claiming, oh, we're for women and all this, but the ones who blab so much about women's empowerment, when a woman has her own opinion, he tells her she's a woman who's not worth it. Yeah, I'm for empowering women, but you're a woman who's not worth it. No, that's when civil war starts, with those kind of words. When men swerve their car at you, even though I was wearing a mask, it was a mask with something written on it that was kind of confrontational, but I was still wearing it. Uh, that's no longer freedom of speech. And that's when civil wars start. If I am reluctantly following the law, but I'm still following it, you leave me alone. And both sides, if the men on the right, you start attacking women on the left, no matter what they believe or whatever, for just saying what they feel like saying, then you're also wrong. War starts with men. It starts with women and how men treat women of the other side. When your side of women are treated better because they believe like you, then it's no longer a democracy. It's the beginning of a civil war and the beginning of eventually a dictatorship. And Americans are very naive because they've never lived this, but we've lived it in Argentina. Although I was born here, I'm very, very, connected with Argentina. I know their history. Study Argentine history, the military governments. Study Mao Zedong, China under Mao. That was a whole dictatorship, communist. That was far left dictatorship. Argentina was far right dictatorship. Dictatorships come on the left and the right. When you can no longer say an opinion and not have your life ruined for it, like is happening now, especially with internet. Someone has an opinion and suddenly he's fired from his job. He gets no more sponsorships just for having an opinion. Then it's no longer a democracy. And the internet has made it quicker. It's happening quicker. Before it was, it took a while for the news to get out. And, why was Bill Cosby canceled and not Roman Polanski? Roman Polanski raped little girls. Bill Cosby at least raped adult women. I'm not saying either one was right, but personally, it's worse to rape a little girl than it is to a grown woman, especially a grown woman that you were dating who took drugs willingly in some cases. I'm not judging. They still didn't deserve to get raped, but a little girl who gets pushed with alcohol, like what happened with Roman Polanski. He encouraged this little girl to take alcohol and get drunk. I think he gave her some pills too. And that was the one we know about. And then some other young lady, now grown women, came out and said he did the same thing to me. That it hasn't gone as much in the news because Roman Polanski is, Hollywood elite, and we had all these Hollywood liberals applauding for him when he got his latest Oscar. You're not going to convince me with that bull. Bill Cosby was on the right, preached a lot of the values of intact families and all that, and did a lot for his Black community. What he did was wrong. It's wrong to rape women. But there's a huge difference between a woman that you've been dating who took the drug willingly. He offered her the drug, the one that he ended up going to jail for. Others, maybe it was not consensual. I'm not saying they all were, but in the case of the one he went to jail, she consensually took the drug. She had probably some vendettas against him as well. And you're not going to convince me that he's not a worse person than Roman Polanski is, Roman Polanski went to jail and served his time or whatever, and now he's forgiven. Well, then let's forgive Bill Cosby. He went to jail and did his time. So, and he's still a genius, as is Roman Polanski. Roman Polanski is a genius, the movies he's put out. Lots of people in history have been anti-Semitic. Apparently, this classic composer, who was he? Wagner? Was it Wagner? Was very anti-Semitic. Classical musician. Classical. Oh, I talk so much. Okay, I'm gonna end. I'm gonna end this. Classical musician Wagner. Anti in the kitchen. Okay, he's outside, mommy. I'm talking to my friends. So. Classical musician Wagner. He old. Richard Wagner, German composer. He was a German composer. Anti-Semitism. Wagner harbored anti-Semitic sentiments is both well known and uncontested within the realm of musical logical inquiry. Okay, yeah, no, he was openly anti-Semitic. He hated Jewish people, but he was a genius composer. Apparently, I don't know much about classical music, but he's one of the famous classical composers, and he's still, they still applaud him today. They say, yeah, he was anti-Semitic, but he put out some great music. Well, that's what they should do, for Bill Cosby. That's what they're doing for Roman Polanski. But they're even acting like Roman Polanski didn't do anything wrong. That's what really bothers me. Raping a little girl, a 13-year-old girl in a hot tub. She wanted to be an actress. I think her mother, kind of stupid mother too, but I won't, you don't leave your little girl alone with a grown man under any circumstance, unless it's maybe her father or something, someone, especially in that business in Hollywood, you know. So anyway, all right, Roseanne Barr was canceled for, yeah, what she, well, yeah, that was unfortunate because what she said did come across as racist, but as it turns out, she didn't. I believe her because it happened to me also. She said something that came across as racist because she said something about Planet of the Apes to one of the politicians who happens to be black. But that politician is so light skinned. I didn't know she was black either. And black Roseanne Barr didn't know she was black either. So she apparently has some features that maybe are, like we all do. I've always been told I look like Miss Piggy, especially when I was heavier. So she compared her to someone from Planet of the Apes, and it blew up. And she happened to have espoused, she loved Trump. Of course, that didn't help her. So yeah, she got cancer. I mean, now she's back, uh, but she shouldn't. She probably shouldn't have said that because when you start doing personal attacks, it's okay to argue the issues, and I do that. Well, I attack groups, like I call them the Dems. I attack the Dems out there on the internet. I'm not hiding it. That's how I feel right now. Because the Democratic Party of today is not the same as the Democratic Party when I was young. John F. Kennedy, even up till Bill Clinton. I liked Bill Clinton. He did what he did, and that kind of turned me on him a little bit. But when he went with the Monica Lewinsky scandal. But actually, I liked Bill Clinton. I voted for him. I was, rooting for him. I liked his policies. Hillary said some cool stuff. I didn't like Hillary when she ran for some reason. I guess she'd gotten too, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because she's a woman. Maybe because she's a woman. I won't necessarily. I don't know why. I wasn't too crazy about Hillary ever, but yeah, I liked Bill Clinton, and it didn't hurt that he was cute back when he was running. He was young. He was kind of cute. He was only in his 40s, and no, but he said cool things. I liked his position on abortion, actually, which is the one I now have. Which at the time, even though I was liberal, I still was against abortion. I kind of didn't talk about it at all because it didn't. If I wanted to be a liberal, I couldn't talk about my views on abortion because it would contradict being liberal. So I just didn't talk about abortion. Or sometimes when I did talk about it, I would talk against it, and then I'd be, oh, well, you're supposed to, you're. So I couldn't be a liberal. It got to the point where I couldn't be liberal and have my views on abortion. So, but Bill Clinton said it perfectly. Abortion needs to be safe, legal, but rare. It needs to be there for the cases when a woman obviously needs to have one. She's been raped, or whatever, her life is in danger. That's what it's meant for. It's not meant for just, like some of my college friends. Okay, I don't want to talk about abortion anymore. I got to go. Okay. Walt Disney so his view on abortion was perfect. He was going to encourage more, obviously more sex ed in school, which of course for for the far right, that's bad. Oh no, people can't learn about sex. That's obviously ridiculous. We all need to know how babies are made at least by the time we're able to have them. We can't just be so. So yeah, no, I liked Bill Clinton, but then after that, I kind of lost track for a while because I lived in Argentina, so I wasn't really into American politics. When Obama won, I was still in Argentina, and I was very against Obamacare, the socialized. That's how I interpret it: socialized medicine, socialized medicine. But as it turns out, I think I'm on Obamacare now, and I like it. So there we go. So I didn't really have any feeling one way or another against Obama, but yeah, I didn't like the socialized medicine thing. Obamacare to me was socialized medicine, which, uh, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm still wondering what's going to happen with this coverage. But I mean, I get everything for free. I'm just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Or what? I'm not working. Okay, I'm not earning a certain level, so I guess my healthcare is being paid for by people who earn more than me. That's the only explanation I have because it's very good coverage. you know. So Roseanne was in her personal opinion, and that was magnified. Yeah, it was her personal opinion, but she said it was a direct attack to someone, regardless of whether it was racist or not. It came across as racist, but it was she directly attacked someone personally, whereas I I get attacked a lot like that when I'm arguing on the internet. I'm always arguing on the internet. In person, I don't do it as much, but I just don't. I just ignore. It's a personal attack. I take it as well. The person obviously has nothing to support their point, so they're getting frustrated. So they're just attacking me, personally. So I just ignore it. I don't know. It doesn't hurt me when people say something about me personally. Maybe it used to a little bit, but I'm just like, oh, because they have no argument. So their only argument is to poke fun at me because they have no logical argument for what the actual issue is. So, but yeah, when you do personal attacks, you lose automatically. Now, if I say the whole group as groups, Dems, I call them Dems now. It's me trying to pull in an argument so that I can actually argue my points. So yeah, it's a little bit, but I do it before the argument starts to get people angry to come in so that we can actually talk about the actual issue. Whereas she was on the reverse. I think the issue had already been discussed, and then she made the personal attack. So being canceled, yeah, I don't know if that was right, but it also didn't make her look very good. And she claims she was taking Ambien, so she was a little bit on drugs, but yeah, she liked Trump. She made no bones about it. She just was out there rooting for Trump. So obviously they wanted to get her somehow. Corporatized machine. I'm not right wing or nothing, but I did injustice. Yeah, no, and both sides need to chill out a little bit. No, what's happening now is concerning. The immigrants coming in that you've seen on the TV, they're cutting through the barbed wire, and I don't know. A lot of kids are disappearing. And that's another reason why I don't want masks, because one thing that occurs to me, like if you were a child trafficker, it's a lot easier to hide the child. Whereas, okay, yeah, the child probably has to show his face at checkpoints, like coming into the country or whatever. But within the country, maybe a child could be recognized if he wasn't wearing the mask. But if you're his caretaker, you're the adult that's with him, if the child is forced to wear a mask, it would be hard to identify. Like, let's say that this child is missing and they have the child's picture up, red, what do you call it? Amber alert. But if you're forced to wear the mask, because now it's the law to wear the mask, the child has less of a chance of being seen. So that's another reason why I'm against masks. They should be optional, which granted, a kidnapper could then say, uh, you know, uh, it's optional. I'm making my child wear the mask. I guess that could happen too, but I don't know. All right. Well, I'm going to go. How long is this? How long have I been on? Am I still on? Oh, 2 hours. I got to go. What are you doing? Okay, say goodbye to my friends. We're going to have dinner. I'm going to feed her. Are you being good or are you going to bite mommy? Don't bite me on camera. That would be very embarrassing, wouldn't it? Oh, baby. Oh, see how she cringes when I pet her? All right. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening. Sunday, what time were we going to do it? This coming Sunday, a week from today, 11 a.m. Miami time, which would be theoretically, well, it'll be up there anyway. You could watch the rerun if you don't catch it. Let me just quick up look what time we had agreed to. And then I'll let you guys go. Nobody's gonna watch this whole thing. So. Oops. We wrote, somebody wrote here. Here we go. What time? 4 p.m. UK time. I don't know if UK, Scanjet would know. UK is the same time all the time, all over the UK. But it would be 4 p.m. UK time, which I believe is 11 a.m. New York, Miami, Washington, D.C. time. We're all on the East Coast. So 11 a.m. I'll be doing the interview with Ryan. And if you miss it, don't worry. It'll be up there, the rerun. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by. It's a big problem right now. Yeah, it is. And I'm doing it. I'm like when I decide, because I'm trying to get people to come in to argue so that I can bring them to like understanding, but I don't know if it's working. But I'm getting out some aggression too, because I was so mistreated during COVID for, and that's when over COVID, I just let loose. I said, enough. So, I'm not saying I was all there mentally. I wasn't doing very well during COVID either. But when this friend of mine blocked me, a friend that I'd known for years, and calling me things that were so untrue just because I didn't agree with canceling this one person, and that they could just cancel someone just because they have an opinion, Roseanne Barr aside, because she's famous, but this was just some girl that got caught on camera doing something that wasn't right, but it doesn't mean you ruin her life for it. That's when I realized, no, this is going too far. This is headed towards civil war. COVID, we were on the verge of civil war during those riots. And then, of course, January 6th was kind of a response. But, and I'm not going to get into that now, too. But I don't think January 6th was as bad as the riots during COVID. I don't understand. Yeah, granted, they went in there, they broke some stuff, but what was a few $100,000 worth of damage, maybe $1 million, and they didn't damage the place. They broke the windows, but they didn't destroy the Capitol. They just went in to. Granted, some said they were going to hang some politician. I don't care what happens to politicians. They know that if they're politicians, they're in danger. They need security, which they had not hired. They should have known. Anyway, I won't get into that whole thing, but I think if the riots over COVID had not occurred, peaceful protest, another thing. I would have supported peaceful protests after George Floyd. I think the whole world was indignant at what happened to that poor man. But peaceful riots would have been different. Or maybe riots in Minnesota are understandable because it was right there. But riots across the country and destroying our some of them were small businesses that could never reopen. They didn't have the insurance. They say, oh, well, they have insurance. Well, so what? Even if they do have insurance, the insurance premiums go up when things like that happen. So now they're back in business, granted, but now their premiums are up. So then their merchandise has to go up and people's salaries are not. So people just don't think the long term of their. And anyway, you support the police because the only alternative to the police is a military government. You improve police that need improving, of course, but you don't defund the police over something that I don't know. It just got, and I also believe that the whites were using the Black community in spite of, granted, some horrible things happened to some Black people that were killed by the police. But the white people took that because as soon as it was convenient for them, they throw away the Black community. And now they're all worried about the illegal aliens coming in. Oh, we have to embrace them in sanctuaries. And they forgot all about all the promises they made to the African-American community. So that, if at least something would have come out of that, I would have said, okay, well, we had all these riots and stuff, but at least now finally the Black community is getting what they were promised. Ugh, I don't want to get onto another topic now. So, all right, bye, bye, bye. I better go. I'm just going to start rambling again. So, bye.